areas by the weekend. Two German Navy vessels made a rare stop in Tokyo Bay following their participation in the rim of the Pacific military exercises during a global tour.
These vessels are part of Germany's Indo-Pacific deployment, intended to demonstrate support for allies in Japan, Malaysia, South Korea, and India.
A former Minneapolis police officer convicted in the killing of George Floyd has been released from federal custody, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Thomas Lane was convicted in 2022 of violating Floyd's civil rights during the fatal arrest on May 25, 2020.
Ukraine's parliament has outlawed religious groups with ties to the Russian Orthodox Church or any other faith group that supports Russia's invasion.
This legislation is widely perceived as targeting a Ukrainian religious organization.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity.
Your stomach getting hot.
You want stand-up comedy? Well, we got
iHeartRadio.
Sit down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Not today. Not today. I got an earache. I'm not going to school. Earache in my eye. I had enough of that. Enough of it. I've had enough of it. Oh no, I'm not even there. Not allowed there. Let me over there. Good morning, you all horrible, horrible, terrible people of this terrible, awful, God-forsaken existence. How are you? I'm pretty sad myself. I don't know. I'm down. We'll get to that. I'll try to explain what that's all about. We're gonna talk landscaping today, and I'm so excited that I almost want to go out and mow the lawn just in preparation for the big landscaping talk. Today is Thursday, almost done with another week. Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, and it might as well be, I don't know, dystopian day. I don't know, I woke up quite early today, just down as can be, melancholy, sad, and I know why. It's because I travel. I'm like a astral projector. I go on trips at night. Probably a little bit of the LSD, psilocybin, and cow crap still remnants remaining in my brain. But you know what? One place is that bring me down, and I've been struggling to get back right since I woke up this morning, and just realized like 3 seconds before we went live that I hadn't even shared this program. I'm not excited for this program. Now, in the second hour, we're going to meet a novelist who's also a doctor. I believe she's a doctor. I don't know. Somehow, I'm not sure I'm reading correctly anymore. C.C. Robinson, who is a author of young adult dystopian novels. will be here in the second hour. In the first hour, a guy named Brian M. Clayton is expected here. And never in the history of no-shows has a no-show been more encouraged or welcome. Sorry, Brian. I don't know how you got booked on the program. I don't know what what the plan is here to talk about landscaping. You built an app so you can find the landscaper in your neighborhood. You can find a landscaper in your neighborhood. Go next door. The guy next door's got a landscaper. You just ask him for a card and call him and say, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. I'm already negative. You see how negative I am? I'm a negative Nelly. Negative Nelly Napo. That's what they call me. But I don't know what the hell to talk to him about. So how long should your grass be? Do you wear a bag? Because I don't. I like to shoot my grass all over. I'm not one of these guys I don't like to wear a bag on my mower. Okay, conversation over. I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, are you excited? Can you join the chat room and just flood it with grass comments or grass questions? Or maybe not just grass. There's bushes. I want to talk about bush. We could talk about bush. I'm hoping he doesn't show up. If he does show up, I don't know what to say. Anyway, so that's what we're going to expect today. We're going to talk to an author. That's the exciting part of it. Usually, the authors are the least exciting part of the program. It's Thursday. What am I going to say? We'll get through it. Even though I'm kind of down. It's your job. You over there. To cheer me up today. Make me happy. Get me out of my funk. Because I'm funked up. I'm all funked up. Go funk yourself. Anyway. So I'll play a commercial. Maybe I need some of this. And then we'll come back and say hello to two guys. Because one guy is probably got a flat. That's what I'm thinking. He's got a flat.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches, we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people.
I definitely need some of it. Can you get it to me by noon today, or even 10 or 11:30 or something? Good morning, dudes. Up in my left-hand corner, we have in front of a Ben Frank poster. By the way, Ben Frank has been on this program when he was a winner of the American Comedy or something. Is our lingerie expert, Mr. Ron Kane. And up in the right-hand corner, we have my best friend for the last 37 years, Miss Eugene Carroll. Eugene, how are you?
Good morning, America. Mind Dog TV. Can't get enough of the DNC convention? Go to minddogtv.com for 24-hour coverage of the people's reactions to the DNC's coverage of people's reactions. minddogtv.com. I'm out of shit, right?
All right. We have DNC coverage available for purchase on minddogtv.com.
Yes. And also in that coverage, we'll have insurance. So we have DNC convention coverage, insurance coverage.
That's easy for you to say.
I wish you were.
Would the DNC, if I watch, would that cheer me up? Because I'm incredibly down. I'm down. I'm really down on the ground.
It depends.
How can you laugh when you know I'm down?
It depends on the speaker. Some of them have been really, really good, and some of them have been, well, they're paid to speak, so they're speakers.
Who? Give me somebody who was really good. Obama, both the Obamas. Really good,
Michelle
right?
Obama knocked it out of the fucking park.
Really? Because I thought I didn't see hers. I saw a little bit of his, and I thought he was like. But people are saying she surpassed him. She was better than him.
Well, I think the reason why people say she surpassed him is because I think the bar was set lower. It'd be like if you have two comedians and one is like been all over the world, and that's how he's billed, is like, this guy's been on America's Got Talent. He's been on cruise ships. He's been all over the world. and then the other comedian is like, and his friend, and then the other comedian is like, does really
See,
well.
I always remember her as being very on top of things. She was a lawyer, and she was definitely. I wouldn't set the bar low for her at all. I would expect
No,
big
I
things
said
from her
lower.
because she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the big differences between both of them, it was tone. Like Michelle was supposed to come out there and be more positive, like rah rah, and Barack he did his fucking speech was phenomenal because he put his foot down. He's like, motherfuckers, keep this together and we can win this. That's the tone that I got from Barack. It's like, we ain't fucking around. Let's fucking do this.
Comparisons are overdone, but when you talk about orators, and I know GD gets turned on whenever I say orators, Barack Obama is up there with the best speakers ever. I mean, whether you like him or don't like him, you have to admit he is like just phenomenal with giving a speech. He can knock it out of the park with the best of them.
And Barack did a fucking dick joke in the middle of his speech.
Well, I know he did, and I'm not. I understand because I'm anti-Trump. I laugh at that, and I think, but I would like to go back to politics where politicians, and we don't ever hear dick jokes or anything like that ever in serious stuff ever. It just doesn't belong.
You're talking about going before Richard Nixon then, because that's when the dick joke started with Richard Nixon. People like Dick. Dick Nixon. People like Dick.
I understand what you're saying, Matt, but considering everything that Trump is.
No, I know.
And considering he always talks about his crowd size, and for Barack just to get in there and take the knife.
No, I get it, and you can't put the cork back or the genie back in the bottle and then the cork on top of the bottle to keep the genie in. That genie's out. But just nostalgic for days when shit like that was not, the cursing or the put downs and all that stuff were for the comedy stage, not for not for the news, the nightly news, where dick jokes are part of the nightly news now. I don't know. The world is lost.
Well, I believe that once Trump is off the scene, whenever that is,
you're wrong.
I believe that there will be more of a closer return, because part of the reason why those jokes are out there about Trump like that is because it's about Trump specific. Those are Trump-specific dick jokes, and it's just like if J.D. Vance disappears, nobody's going to make any more making to love seat jokes. That's it.
I haven't heard one love seat joke except from you. Everybody else is still on couch. Nobody has equated the love seat thing.
Oh, no.
Because the love seat is too small to get your dick in.
Really? Really?
Well, for me,
okay.
For me, I got it.
Because sometimes you just want a quickie. You don't need a whole sofa. You just need a little love seat.
How's your grass doing? Is it long?
I was going to cut it yesterday, but I decided to cut it today in honor of our guest.
No, you don't have to. He'll come and do it for you.
No, not my grass. No.
Are you sure you weren't smoking that white weed again, Matt? And
I wish.
And he was like, "Hey, I want to talk about grass," and you're like, "Yeah, let's talk about grass."
No, I don't think I've ever, because I checked my emails. There's no email correspondence. All I know is this guy showed up on Calendly and picked the date, and I just put it on my calendar without looking what he was about. I figured the week before when I start to schedule it, I would see what book he wrote or what comedy he's doing, and then I look and it says whatever, get your green pal. I was like, landscaping, and then I checked my email. I was like, there's no correspondence, there's no publicist saying I got a great landscaping guy that's gonna knock your socks off on the mornings. I first question is, how the fuck did you get booked on my show?
I think what's going to happen is you're going to tune in, and it's actually going to be Jackie, and he's fucking with you. He created a separate account just so he could fuck with you. And he's going to show you his own marijuana garden, Green Pal.
Oh, well, I've seen that. It's very impressive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he started his own brand, Green Pal, and so Jackie is Jackie.
Now, when you mow I'm assuming you don't have a landscaper. You're a normal person who doesn't
Right.
hire people to do it.
I
Now,
can't
when
afford to hire
you mow
people
your
to
own
do it.
lawn,
Yes, I do.
yes. Do you shoot your grass? You like to shoot your grass all over,
I'm a
or do you wear a
squirter.
bag?
Yeah, I'm a squirter.
You,
I'm too old to be worrying about protection.
well, my wife seems to think it's better for the lawn. I think the opposite. I think it's better for the lawn to shoot your grass all over.
Yes.
But she seems it creates mold or something. I don't know what the hell she got in
It
them.
depends. If you create like a mound of it, like if you let's say you're cutting like in a circle and you're shooting all the grass toward the middle, and you have this like a mound of grass and it turns brown and it kills what's underneath and mold and in a couple of days you'll have mushrooms. But if you do it like I do it, which is each grass is done individually, I have scissors and I take each one.
You say that as a joke,
Yeah.
but in 1973, my godmother was working in the Hollywood Hills. She was a executive assistant for some Hollywood big shot, and he had this property that was the fire department said you're in danger of having brush fires here that could light up the whole thing. You need to mow this lawn, and the guy hired me, a 14-year-old kid, whatever I was, 13, and he didn't have a mower. He handed me a pair of scissors, literally a fucking like not yeah.
The shears, yeah.
And he had like an acre and a half of grass that was 4 feet high, and on a mountain. And I'm cutting it there with scissors like 5 days, and I got maybe 20 a patch of 20 feet done in 5 days. And finally, he figured out he's gonna have to hire somebody for that. So anyway,
you know what? I think you used the shears wrong. I think you were supposed to get a couple of goats and use the shears to chase the goats into eating the grass.
I remember someone in our neighborhood actually had like the old push. Just the old push. It like yeah.
I still want one. I want one of those. I want to put one of those on the front of my mower, or actually on the side, so I can, it's like a double cut. You know what I'm saying?
We're inventing new ways to cut your grass here on the Coffee with the Dog Fella.
Well, I would love to have one of those. They're like cutters. And the blades go like this, but they're long. I would love to have an attachment on the side of my mower for that. Just because there's some place like on hills and stuff where my mower goes like this and I have to hold on to the side. I just would rather drive beside it and go, just like this, along the side of my grass, just like that.
Our guest has shown up. I'm going to wait just a moment because I have a couple of things I want to address before we bring him in. Maybe because when I was like 7 years old, all the kids in the neighborhood were getting go-karts. My father took a blade off of a tractor mower and said, "There you go, knock yourself out." I'm just thinking for Steven, we should do a GoFundMe, get him a rider mower. And it would serve two purposes. He could like get a job then, and get himself around without pushing.
Well, there's I forgot. I got distracted here because my business is taking off. Yeah.
All right. I did not know he was doing well. I think we should put that in the Mind Dog Star because we have the e-commerce engine already revved up and thousands.
We are mercenaries. Yeah. We will sell it. We will sell anything to anybody. We're mercenaries.
Right. Yeah. So the Steven thing, he's not here. He's probably on. He's probably on the interstate on a rider mower right now, trying to get here.
They left him on the back of the truck.
Yeah. Last thing I want to, before we bring our guests in, I noticed the Ben Frank thing behind you. Are you acquaintances with Ben Frank? What's up with that? Are you on that show?
Yeah, no, I'm not on that show, but I've had Ben on several of my shows and given him work, so I've become friendly with him like over the past.
I feel like we need Robin Harris here. Small world. Small world.
So Ben yesterday dropped his special on YouTube. So Any views will help him, and he's a very funny guy. So if you're looking for a good stand-up special, please give it a watch and let it play through, because it helps Ben out a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Now he's the only comedian, only one in my memory, which is pretty clogged up and full of crap, that makes fun of his own name in his own special. Like, let me be frank with the Ben, the N in Ben.
Yep.
You don't see, because there are a lot of names that you could do that with and just have some fun with. Nobody ever does that. He's the first guy ever.
There's a comedian in the area. His name is Michael Larius, and he changed it for stage to Mike Hilarious. It's the same.
Oh yeah.
Same syllables, but he broke it up, so it's Michael Hilarious, Mike Hilarious, as opposed to Michael Hilarious.
Mike Hilarious. Yeah. Well, you better be friggin' hilarious if you're gonna go with that. You got if you're gonna.
It takes balls. It takes balls. It does, and I think he has the potential to be hilarious. But I haven't seen him for like 6 or 7 years. But
and Ben is coming back on the show in the first week of September.
Yay!
Yeah, he booked that this morning. I talked to him.
All right, I'll check. I have not. I've been like in a depression today all day. It's been a long day already. Let's move on. Brian M. Clayton. I have no idea how I got him booked on this program. He's an American mobile.
You're lucky.
He's an American.
He was supposed to be actually at the DNC speaking there this week, and he decided to blow them off like a blower just to be here with us today.
All right. Is it in America? I don't know why it says that's an important thing. Like American mobile app developer. I suppose America is still number one when it comes to mobile app developers. Who is the co-founder of GreenPal, a mobile app and online freelancing platform that connects homeowners with local lawn care providers. He's here now. Let's ask him how the hell he got booked on my program. Brian, good morning. How the hell did you get booked on my program?
Good to be here. Yeah, I was supposed to be speaking at the DNC, but I did. I blew that off like a blower to be here. No, I would have. I've gotten canceled a long time ago. They would have never had me. So it's great.
But that was under Biden. That was under the Biden. Be fair, that was under Biden. Harris has taken over. She might have had you on there.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a new day.
Yeah. How did you find out about this program, and what the hell are you doing here?
My VA reached out to you and said, hey, you want to talk to this guy about how he started with a push mower and built GreenPal, which is the Uber for lawn care. So that's how I'm here. Now, I want to make a correction. I did not put American mobile app developer. Somebody pulled that from Wikipedia. So that sounded pretty internationally American. So I would have never written that.
But you're not proud to be an American. You're proud to be an American. We're number one.
I am proud to be American, but I've been traveling a lot recently, and we're not viewed very good on an international stage for some reason. So,
the app developers I work with are Indian, and that's like they're number one. They're really number one. We're not.
Now India pumps out great engineers. That's true, and they really are kind of number one. I will say that. But no, I would have never put American mobile app developer in front of my name like that.
So
that's good.
what is?
Well, I'm sorry. When I see honestly, whenever I see a company and they use the word American in their thing, I'm automatically assume that they're conservative and political, and I don't want to deal with that company.
Yeah,
that is so weird. That you know what? That's kind of, I agree that's a conditioning we've been accustomed to, but I think you can be proud to be an American and be progressive, be whatever doesn't mean you have.
Progressives don't usually do that, or people who are neutral don't usually do that. They're just like, this is me, this is my company, this is what I do. Not support me. I'm a patriot. Support me. It's not that kind of thing. And also with the and I know you didn't do this, Brian, but some people. I can see somebody saying American app just so that people wouldn't think, okay, there's a back door to some Chinese company. And so, it's American. This is American. There are no foreign viruses here.
Yeah, good point.
And I'll go one more. I traveled a lot in South America last year, and they would ask me, where are you from? I say, I'm from America. And they would say, you idiot, you're in America. Where are you from?
Yeah.
And so, so I've been humbled a lot in my travels that the world does not actually revolve around America.
Yeah. So how do you?
They're coming around. There used to be a time when you couldn't say America, and if you were from the U.S., if you said America, you were overseas, they would say, well, where? Canada, Mexico? Because that's and you had to say United States of America, so they would know. But now they're sucking. But we kept repeating it over and over again, and now they're just buying into it.
We stole that branding. Never mind, there's a South America, Central America, North America.
Yeah, interesting. How do you go from being a guy who's in landscaping to a guy who's in app development? They seem like in total different universes.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I actually started mowing grass in high school. My dad got tired of watching me play Nintendo all day, and one day he said, "Hey, get off your ass." I talked to the neighbor. They need somebody to mow the yard, and I said, "I don't mow yards." And he said, "Well, you do now." And he made me go mow the neighbor's yard, and like then pointed out all the stuff that I missed, and then I got paid $20 for an hour of work, and I thought, wait a second, this is awesome.
That's what I was about to ask you. I was going to ask you, what was your rate and how much was a gallon of gas then?
Oh yeah, a gallon of gas was about $1.10, and this was 1995, and I made $20 an hour, and I could finally buy the soccer cleats I wanted. I didn't have to get the buddies, the $20 soccer cleats that my parents were going to buy me. I could get the $90 soccer cleats. And so that was amazing to me, and something just clicked. And I said, this is just what I'm going to do. And I passed out a bunch of flyers and got 20 customers that first summer. And I just stuck with that lawn mowing business all through high school, and then went to college and went to night school and didn't want to take on a bunch of student loan debt, and paid my way through college mowing grass. And then I just stuck with it for 15 years and grew it into a real company. And then it was bought by a big national company. And after that, I took some time off, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? I don't have to. I had made enough off the sale of that business. I didn't have to really work a job anymore. I wasn't like super wealthy, but I could kind of just take some time and figure out what I wanted to do. And I remember watching the movie The Social Network, and in that movie, they built Facebook in like a weekend, and it looked so cool and it looked so easy. And I thought, well, why can't I do that? I can do that. I can build a tech startup. That looks easy compared to what I just did. And I thought somebody's going to build like an app that works like Uber, but for lawn mowing. And why can't that be me? And it was kind of like I was naive, and that was a good thing. And I told two friends about it. They said, I'll quit my job tomorrow and I'll start that with you. And that's what we did. And we paid a development shop to build what we thought the app would be. That wasted a year of our time and all of our money. And then we had to realize, okay, if we want to do this, we're going to have to learn how to code. And so I went to YouTube University and taught myself how to build software. And my co-founder went to a software boot camp, and he taught himself how to build back-end programming. And it took
holy crap.
Yeah, it took like 2 years, but we hacked together this first version of the app where you could push a button, you get free quotes from lawn mowing services nearby you, and then you hire one, they come out and do the job, and you pay them right through the app. And now fast forward today, 10 years later, it's nationwide, United States. Around 300,000 people use this app to get lawn mowing done every week.
The holy crap thing came from it's like I'm assuming the guy who the partner or the guy who's working with you, he's not a kid, and like generally you think you have to learn this stuff from a very young age. I learned to code my first app at 48 years old, and it was a struggle for me. But things were a little bit different than this. I'm talking like 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. But it was really difficult to get it published at the time. The SDKs, you had to really get into the minutia of the code. Now it's much more simple. There are things that can help you build it and get it published a lot easier. There were no Android apps when I started doing it. It was just Apple. iPhone was the first thing out. So,
a lot harder, man. No doubt about it.
His hands were soft and supple.
I don't know. I don't think you need soft hands for coding apps, but well, I'll take that as a compliment. So now, how does the app work? Do you get residuals like when they find a landscaper and then they're done, right? Or do you keep getting residuals every time that landscaper bills them? Because that would be ultimate gold mine.
Yeah. So to your point, a marketplace like this needs to work on high frequency. So you can't just make one introduction and build a business off of that. And so GreenPal's job is to quickly get you introduced to 4 or 5 lawn care services nearby you, and then you can read reviews, compare prices, hire who you want to work with, and then it's our job to power that relationship for as long as you want to work with them. If they ever stop showing up on time or start doing kind of a half-assed job, you can then push a button and hire another one. So on the consumer side, it's kind of like this remote control for getting everything done outside. And on the lawn care pro side, it's an operating system where they plug in and pay to access all of the tools to get as many customers as they want, to keep everything organized in one place, to get paid quickly. They get paid within 24 hours of all the work that they do. So it's kind of like a business in a box for them. So we've had to focus on how do we solve problems for the consumer side and then solve problems for the vendor side to make it where it's easier to do business here than with pen and pad. So yes, it's there for as long as you own or rent your home, so you have a place where you can just push a button and get this done.
You just said the key to entrepreneurialism, and most people overlook that, and it's so simple, but yet so overlooked. It's worth repeating. You said we solve problems for. Most entrepreneurs have something they're passionate about, and they want to sell it to somebody rather than solve somebody's problem. And I think if you come at it with the attitude that I have something I love, I want to make you buy it, it's going to fail. The only way you can really make any business work is if you're solving problems for somebody. But a lot of people don't understand that. If I love it, other people should love it too. I mean, why doesn't everybody love it and want to buy the crap that I dreamed up? that idea of solving problems for somebody, it's overlooked. I mean, it's not necessarily.
An early mentor told me, he said, you got to look for the pain. And I mean, like the knife in the gut pain, and then twist the knife. Like you have to look for that level of pain that you're solving for your users, for your customers, or else they're not going to use it, or they're going to use it one time and then never use it again. And that's the reality of the marketplace. The marketplace is going to be a shrewd judge of whatever it is you're pouring your heart and soul into. And the marketplace doesn't care. It only cares about, are you making my life easier? Are you solving a problem for me? Are you saving me money? Are you saving me time? And if you aren't, then I'm not going to use your product. I'm going to use something else, or I'm going to do it a different way. And it's a good thing, but it's harsh in the early days because you pour your passion into this project and then you release it, and it's like, if you build it, they will not come. And then you got to get dirty, you got to get in the trenches, you got to hustle up your first 10, 20 customers, and then you got to really get in there with them and figure out, like you just said, how do you solve a problem for them and then continue to solve problems for them to where they want to continue to use your product.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, what problems is this solving for people? And all I can come up with is that people are really grumpy in the morning and they need a good laugh. That's what I think. Yeah.
There you go.
It also keeps me and Ron out of people's homes, knocking on doors saying, "Excuse me, we'd like to entertain you this morning."
Yeah,
we don't have to go door to door.
What I just said, people need a good laugh in them. That's not the twist of the knife pain. Maybe it is, but it's just like it's a nice to have, not necessarily.
I thought Matt was going to say, I wasn't talking about you.
The same mentor gave me another piece of advice. He said, one thing you have to figure out in early days is, are you in the business of selling vitamins or are you in the business of selling painkillers? And you kind of have to pick which road you go down. And if you're in the business of selling vitamins, that's a different strategy. But if you're in the business of selling a painkiller, that's a different strategy altogether. And so we set out early on and said, we're in the business of selling a painkiller. It's the The lawn guy hasn't showed up for 3 weeks. The grass is 4 feet tall. I got a notice from the city. They're going to charge me $400 to come out and mow this thing. I got to get somebody to mow this thing today. That's my hair on fire problem. How do I get somebody out here today? And that's what Green Pal's in the business to do.
We're selling roofies, by the way.
They still make.
I don't know. I should not say things that are going to get hate mail.
It's rebranded. It's rebranded because it's got a bad name. It got a bad name.
Yeah. Now it's called Mind Dog Vitamins. Yeah. And you can get them on minddogtv.com. Before your father gave you the lawnmower and said, go make some money, did you have a dream that or a vision for what your life would look like that didn't match where it came out to the reality of who you wanted to be when you were a young person? Did you have that mapped out, or have you been like Forrest Gump, like the feather on the breeze? I don't mean stupid like Forrest Gump, but the real message of Forrest Gump is the feather on the breeze analogy.
There's been a lot of Forrest Gump moments in the 22 years of running that business, and now this one that I've kind of fell ass backwards into something. But in the early days of starting my first company, it was that's one of the evolutions you go through starting a business. In the early days, it's all about you. You want to be you want to be successful. Maybe you want to be wealthy. Maybe you want to prove you can do something. And then as time goes on, you start hiring employees and people work for you and people depend on you. This happened to, I guess, maybe year 4 or 5 when I had my first 3 or 4 employees. You start to realize it ain't about me. It's actually about the people that work in this business. If I screw this up, now there's 5 people that don't get a paycheck. And that's one of the things about it is when you're pouring everything you've got into a business, into a project, you grow into a whole new person every 3 or 4 years. And so that's kind of how I experienced it. My first business, it was all about me. I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to build a profitable business and show my friends and family that I could do that. And then maybe that was level 1 of the game. And then level 2 was kind of like, okay, maybe this is my lane. Maybe I can build something here. And I remember setting a goal. I was like 20 years old. And when you're a lawn guy, you don't get a whole lot of respect. You're kind of like a servant for your customers. And I remember mowing grass in like the best neighborhood in town for doctors, lawyers, business owners, things of that sort. And some customers treated me good, but some kind of looked down on me. And I remember thinking, you know what? I'm going to live in this neighborhood before I'm 30. And I'm going to do everything I can to live in this neighborhood before I'm 30.
And then you can look down on your landscapers.
Yeah. and long story short, I was able to do that, but I was still the landscaper. And so the landscaper has moved in next door. And so that was very much it was all about me. It was a chip on my shoulder thing. And I think that can get you through the first couple levels of the game. But as time goes on, you gotta tap into something deeper. It's got to be bigger than you. It's got to be about your people. It's got to be about your stakeholders, your customers, or else you won't make it. The all about me thing kind of burns out pretty quick.
Now, you know what? I'm sorry. My other question is because this is obviously a seasonal thing for you.
Yeah, totally.
So during the winter seasons, do those same guys, do they offer to, let's say, maintain Christmas lights and ornaments during the winter?
You do whatever it is you can to close the gap in the seasonality. And that was one of the challenges when I was in the business and now running a platform that helps power the business is looking for ways to say, okay, we've got 100 customers, or, if you're a landscaper, I got 100 customers. These folks are going to need something done in November, December, January, February. What can I do to proactively reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed you've got some lower limbs that need to be pruned up. I noticed your gutters are overflowing. Do you need help with the Christmas lights? Do you want the garage cleaned out? Like all of these things, if you're proactive about it, you can actually make it a year-round business. And that's what I had to do because I had 3 or 4 guys in the early days, ended up growing the company to about 150 people that needed a paycheck 12 months out of the year. They didn't want to take off 4 months. If you're a solo operator, you can make enough money.
The assumption in GD's question was that you were in a northern state, because if you're in, like, say, I don't know, Mississippi, there's probably.
But he said the company is nationwide.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So
now,
if the company is nationwide, they're not all southern states. Some of them are northern states. That's just nationwide. That's just the theory. I could be wrong.
No, yeah. Well, no, that never happened. Come on. But I mentioned yesterday about my neighbor who is mowing his lawn from sun up to sundown every single day. Not that it needs it; he just is out there. But in the wintertime, he's snow blowing. I mean, that he's always doing that stuff. So I think even in the northern states, you just transition from from cutting to blowing.
Yeah, we
mowing the blowing.
Yeah. We did build on snow plowing a few years ago. It is a whole nother business that these same companies do provide. And so it took us a couple of years to figure it out. But yeah, you can order a snow plowing service on GreenPal. And then also we try to build in the kind of the marketing automation for our pros to say, hey, now you can get a discount on leaf removal. You can get a discount on gutter cleaning. You can get a discount on tree pruning. So we can help book those jobs for our pros during the off season because
you could do a white pal for winter, except I think Ron Kane wants to sell that to black guys who want a white friend.
I'm sorry, Ron calls that service Cucking International.
Here's what I'm curious about, though, because you were talking about that moment. I don't know if it was a single moment, but when you realize it's not really about you, you got team people. You have a team of people that rely on you to keep the business profitable and growing for them. And every time in my careers, many careers, when I reached a position of where I'm responsible for people, the stress got to me. So I hate being responsible for other people's lives. And it was to the point where this is my breaking point. That's what always causes me to end up having burnout, is worrying about the people who depend on me. I'm just not cut out for that. How do you acquire the not just skill set but mindset of being able to cope with having many people dependent upon you?
Yeah, the gravity kind of sets in, and you realize that you've either been selfish, you've been self-centered, you've been short-sighted. You better quickly develop the virtues to become a good manager, to become a good leader, to become a good business owner, or else you're not going to make it. That's just all there is to it. And how bad do you want to see this thing succeed? And depending on how bad you want that, you then develop those virtues. And that's kind of what I had to go through. And it took 2 or 3 years and several iterations of this. And you're kind of taught these things by your people. Either they quit, they leave. And you're like, damn, man, I had 2 or 3 years training that guy and he left. Why did he leave? And it's kind of like a bad breakup. And you got to look inward and say, well, I didn't really send him or her to that training thing that I should have done, or I had a shitty attitude, coming into the office, several days last year, and I probably shouldn't have done that. And so you grow from it, and it really kind of for me mapped to how bad did I want to see the business succeed, and what were the things that I was going to have to develop to get there. It wasn't something that I like naturally wanted to learn or do. It was one of those things I was forced into. It's kind of like a trial by fire thing. Nobody teaches us how to be a good leader. Nobody teaches us how to be a good manager. Nobody really teaches us how to be a good friend. And so you kind of have to learn these things through human interactions. And running a business is one of the best ways that I found to do that.
Wow. Interesting stuff, man. I'll be honest with you. When I had a landscaping guy on, I was like, well, this is going to be a dead conversation. I don't have anything to talk to this guy about, but I've enjoyed this conversation a lot now. So do you have competition? Because every place I go, people say they welcome competition. Competition is a good thing. It helps you grow. It doesn't seem like there's a competitor for you. Do you have any competition?
Well, so in the world of I want to get a lawn mowing service and I don't feel like making 20 phone calls and leaving a bunch of voicemails. I just want to like do it like DoorDash or Instacart or Uber. So in that world, there's a couple options. You can go to like an Angie's List, a Home Advisor, Thumbtack. These are great places where you can get names and phone numbers and like maybe read some reviews, but you still kind of have to like manually do the last part. GreenPal is the only way where you can sign up, you get free quotes, you hire the guy or gal, she comes out and does it, and then you pay him or her right through the app. So in that sense, there is nothing else like it. But it's not who you compete with, it's what you compete with. And so we still compete with, well, there's a guy across the street. Let me throw a rock at him and get him to come over and mow my yard. That happened to me one time. Guy threw a rock at me while I was.
No, that's what I was talking about this morning, because that's the way it's done up in my neighborhood. We had the guy across the street was having trees trimmed, and I needed a tree trimmer, and I went over and I said, "Hey, you come over here when you're done."
Yeah,
that's the way it's most often done in this neighborhood. Because we do have landscapers. And I said, what do you need an app for? Just go next door and wait for that guy to get done.
Totally. That's the way. And so kind of through that hand cranking of, hey, do you know a guy, asking somebody, at work or at church or something like that, or seeing somebody on the street. That's how most of it gets done. But when you do that, you got like one data point on price and availability. And you don't really know, is that the best option for me in the marketplace in terms of pricing, reliability, quality of service? And so you're kind of like, even though it's like, okay, the guy's right here, I'll just hire him. You're not really making the best informed decision that you could if you use a platform like GreenPal, where you quickly get 4 or 5 prices, and then you can read reviews from what other people have said. And then here's an important one. You can see how often they show up on time, because that person you hire off the street, they may do a good job that first time, but there's this weird thing of the disappearing lawn guy. Like he shows up 2 or 3 times and then he like poof, just disappears, and he just ghosts you. And so GreenPal is in the business of helping prevent that, where it's kind of like this accountability layer where pros know that, hey, if I quit showing up and just fall off the face of the earth, my ratings are going to go in the toilet. So I can't do that. And so it's actually a better way to figure out who is the best fit for me in my community versus just hiring somebody off the street. So that's what we compete with. And then we compete with still, I'm gonna go to Craigslist or Yelp or Facebook. I'm gonna dial for dollars. We compete with that. We're kind of like,
I just had a great idea for a new business for me. It's a lawn guy bounty hunter. Where if they don't come, they gust you. Yeah, I just grab. I'm authorized to use deadly force to bring them back to cut your lawn.
I like that. We should build that in as a feature on our platform.
Yeah, quality is an important thing. I'm just thinking as a marketing tool. Maybe I shouldn't go here, but because you say
go.
I know I'm gonna go, unfortunately, because the other part, not just going to your neighbor here, I'm gonna get political here, and unfortunately, there's no way around it. The other thing people do is they go to Home Depot or 7-Eleven, where people from Guatemala or those countries come and look for day work, and they say, "Go!" Just the way they describe it is, just go get yourself a Mexican. None of them are Mexican, by the way. They're all from other countries in South America, or Central America. Yeah, but so that is a big part of it. So just as a marketing ploy, hire American. Be sure you're hiring American labor, and you're not, nobody's going to take GD's job. Appealing to the red hat wearing patriotic Americans who are really concerned about illegal immigrants taking American jobs. It's it's a good marketing thing, whether I support it or not.
It reminds me of George Lopez. He had a bit. He said after a big disaster, they say, "Well, we're going to call in FEMA. Call FEMA. Call FEMA. Find every Mexican available
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I just thinking in the terms of marketing, and I know businesses, you want to avoid politics in at all, but if it's going to help, I don't know,
Yeah,
sell
well, the
more
reality
stuff.
is in the landscaping industry, Latino labor is kind of the backbone of it. You know,
Right.
you have a lot of American owners of these businesses, but a lot of the operating core of them are Latino because it's just so hard to find folks that want to take these types of jobs now. And we have a lot of Latino-owned companies on our platform that fully
Right. Yeah.
documented, and they kick ass. Yeah, it's no secret that if you're going to get your lawn mowed, there's a good chance it's going to be a Latino laborers doing it, and you kind of hope that it's going to be because a lot of times they end up doing a lot better job. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way it is, and but the thing is, you go down to Home Depot and you pick somebody off out of the parking lot, they're probably going to do a good job for you that one time, but how do you know they're going to keep showing up? That's where you need something like GreenPal, which is like an accountability layer to make sure it happens like it should.
YourGreenPal.com. And I hate to drag you into this, but because your father instilled in you, go get yourself a job, do some real work, go mow a lawn, and make some money for yourself. But as you just pointed out, like we have a lack of Americans who are wanting to do that kind of work, even though it's no matter what the upscale high class suburbanites think about it. It's dignified work. It's good work. It's work that you can be proud of, and you should be proud of, and you make a good living at it. We're having trouble finding Americans who want to do that, natural born Americans who want to do that work. Any thoughts on that, and how you get young people saying
real interesting,
this is work you can be proud of, and you should be proud of it?
That I think you're going to start seeing a reversion to the blue collar stuff because the next 5 years with what AI is doing to a lot of white collar jobs, I think plumbers are going to make more money than lawyers in the next 5 years.
They should. They provide a much more.
He hates lawyers.
I don't hate lawyers. I hate the concept. I hate the fact that we need them.
Actually, a good plumber will make more than a lawyer
today.
Right.
And in the next 5 years, your bad plumbers are going to make more money than your good lawyers.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. The idea that because you touched on this, is that people look down on it. People, once you get some money, you look down on people doing real, and it's important work, and it's work you should be proud of. There's no reason to look down upon it. It is important work. If you did need it done, you wouldn't be hiring them. And understand that providing you a very valuable service, don't look down on people like that. I think that part of the mindset of America needs to change, is that be proud of whatever you do, be proud of the people you hire, and don't look down upon anybody for doing an honest day's work.
That's why I'm a firm believer in that everybody, when they're in their youth, learn to do a service job.
Bingo.
Work on a farm and shovel some shit, be a waitress, or work on bus tables, or just something that's considered menial. Okay, so that you understand what that person is going through.
Exactly. That's one thing I look for when I'm hiring people to work at GreenPal is, have you had a shitty job? Have you worked? Have you?
Well, I was thinking this morning, one of the jobs that changed my life, I walked out on. And I shouldn't have, but I'm not proud of this. I was a teenager, and
were you a fluffer? Is that the fluffer job?
It was a beach attendant. The job was to attend the beach, but I basically pick up litter on the beach and all this stuff. But at the beach house, this one day they had a senior citizen thing, an event where they had like 100 senior citizens, and then the manager said to me, "Go clean up the bathroom." And I was like, "Oh my God!" It got bombed by 90 senior citizens. And I was like, I can't. I just can't. There's diarrhea everywhere. I'm out of here. And I walked off the job. So I'm not proud of that. But I was thinking about that this morning, how I should have stuck that out. The right thing to do would be, and it would have taught me character and all that stuff, which is why I'm the lousy person I am today, because I walked off that job. So thanks for reminding me of that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But I think if everybody had their summer of shitty jobs, or their summer or two of shitty, regardless of where your station is in life, I don't care if your father is like the mayor of the town, even if you're the governor, have your son out there or daughter doing menial jobs so they understand that.
And don't let them walk off when they have to clean the bed. That's the key. Don't quit. Don't be a quitter like me.
My father, when I was a child, he used to send us out to clean up the front yard. We had to clean up the front yard, the sidewalk, and the gutter in front of our house. And I was like, Dad, that's not our trash.
That's where all your uncles were.
Yeah, but that's right. That's exactly what he says. You get your uncle out of the gutter. No, I said, Dad, that's not our trash. He goes, no, but it is in front of where you live. We don't want people to think that we live like animals. So you clean up the gutter, And so I was like not only have I had to clean the gutter in front of my house and the row house next to us, so that we have like clean gutters.
It's time to kind of move along here, but I have to say this: you don't want people to know you live like animals, not think.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's it. My father says nobody knows what you live like on the inside the house, but outside they are not going to judge us.
I get it. Yourgreenpal.com. I'm assuming it's in all the app stores too, right? You can just go to Apple and put in Green Pal or whatever. Brian, you know what? This has been a very fun conversation. Now, just in the spirit of not fun but education, reverting back to your former life when you were actually doing the bag or no bag on the push mower.
Oh, no bag.
All right.
It takes way too long.
I got to clip that and play it for my wife.
You got to dump them somewhere, and you got to put them in the landfill. Come on now. No bag, discharge or mulch. All
right.
That's something that you don't want to get yourself tangled in, and you're gonna have green hands. No bag.
Okay, this is my last question for you. With the name Green Pal, your Green Pal. By chance, do you get people there shopping there looking for cannabis?
In the early days, we did get confused with a weed delivery service, and it took us a while to kind of establish ourselves and know this is the way you order a lawn mowing service, not the way you get marijuana delivered. So
there's no reason you can't combine the two. I'm just
maybe who knows? That could be another vertical.
Who would know better about good green grass than somebody who cuts good green grass?
That's the tagline right on the homepage.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for being here. It was an interesting conversation, and I'm happily surprised that it was. But I'm glad you got on this program. I don't remember the conversation with the person who works for you who sent me an email. I looked for it because I couldn't find. I did a search on your name. I was like, how did this guy get on my show? I don't know how he got on my show.
I sneaked my way on, and I really am grateful you guys have me on so I can talk about my passion. I really do appreciate it.
Well, we enjoyed having you on. It was a great conversation. Good luck with it. And if there's anything else we can do to help promote it, you let us know. I will put your Green Pal on minddogtv.com links there. The links are in the description for people who watch the show.
Here's your motto right here, Brian.
We'll cut your grass while you smoke cars. Weed delivery service. Yeah, not a bad thing. All right. Have a great day, Brian. Thank you for being here.
You guys too. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
I'm glad he blew off the DNC. I'm glad he blew off the DNC to be here.
I got to tell you, that was one of the best segments we've had on in the last couple of weeks. I liked it.
And definitely the best, especially the best grass architect. What is it? What do they call themselves? Agriculture architects?
Well, yeah, agricultural architects or something like whatever.
Sorry, he was fantastic. I mean, his story was good. and he brought it. He was awake.
Yourgreenpal.com, folks. I like, and he was talking about the 90s when he was a teenager. I like the fact that his father kind of was an old school guy and said, go out there and mow the lawn. I don't know. I have a grandson, and I don't think, and he's definitely got an entrepreneurial mindset, but I don't think his father ever said, why don't you just get a lawnmower and go around and ask people if they need the lawn cut? Or we used to wait for it to snow and then get the snow shovels and just go make $300 in a day, working your ass off shoveling people's driveways and stuff. No kids ever knock on my door when it's snow. I would love for a kid to knock on my door, and I would like to heckle them down or barter down to getting them to work for less than minimum wage or something like that, and really take advantage of it.
When I worked for Frito, there was our site director. I worked with him, and his story is almost the same. He went through college, and it was up and down through college because he was drinking and shit like that a lot. And then he graduated, and he was just hanging around his parents' house. And he said one day his dad comes in, and he's laying on the couch. His dad looks at him, he's like, "So, are you gonna go get a job?" And he said from that point, then he got his shit together.
Yeah, that's what you need a dad for. That's we talk about parenting, and there's one golden rule for a dad, and that's to say, "Are you going to get a job?"
Now, I don't know about you, Matt, but the first time I cut a lawn for money, gas was 25 cents a gallon.
Yeah, I think it was less than that for me.
But I
started mowing at 8.
Even with all that said, he was probably the best manager I've ever worked with in my career, because he was just very good with people, and he just seemed to have a general understanding. People aren't perfect, and people fuck up.
Yeah, that part about, and I'm one of the greatest failures of my life is this being able to manage my own stress about being a manager. Because every job I ever had I moved quickly up the ranks to where I was in charge of things. And I hate being in charge of things. I hate being responsible for other people's lives. And that broke me. It always broke me. And I don't think it's something I could ever learn. Obviously, it's now I'm too old a dog to teach that new trick. But that's why I was curious, how he managed that. I don't know if you can learn that. I think you have to be born with the ability to say, I've done the best I can today, and don't worry about it. Because I was always, every position, I was always worried about the people who work for me. Worst thing in my life, worst day of my life was when we had 800. I had to lay off 800 people who worked for me for cable.
That's a lot of hookers.
Yeah, I know.
Did you rise through the ranks fast because of your emotional outburst of people?
Because yes, actually, to be honest with you, absolutely. In Cablevision, one of the first things that got me a promotion was I called a senior vice president a fucking idiot. I said, I can't put up with you anymore. Get out of here before I fucking throw you through the glass. That got me a promotion. I don't think the CEO was used to seeing people with that kind of passion work for him.
And that would probably get you fired today, though. They'd take you to HR, and
everything that ever got me a promotion would have gotten me fired today, without a doubt.
I got a promotion at Random House to a forklift driver, and I called HR and I said, I knew I wasn't. They went by seniority, so I shouldn't have gotten a job yet. But I didn't want them to forget me while I waited for my next. So I called HR and I said, "So when do I get my job?" And he said, "Excuse me." I said, the guy whose name is Brian. I said, "Brian." I said, "Brian, the guy who just left. He told me. He goes, you can have my job. He told me I could have his job." So I'm calling to find out when I start. And she goes, "That's not how it works." I'm pretty sure it is. It was Brian's job, and he gave it to me. And I said, "No, what?"
I just go in and take his desk. Like, get out.
So then I said to them, then I said, look, I understand you have like to interview a bunch of other people for the job. I understand how it works. You have to go through the motions. And I don't want you to even think about the fact that I'm a black guy and you don't have any black people working in that department. I don't want you to even consider that. That should be the furthest thing from your mind, that it looks like it's an all white section.
Yeah.
That should, and I
Yeah, don't think about an elephant.
That's right.
Wow, I just thought of an elephant. You told me not to, and I did.
Yeah.
With Cablevision, the way I got hired there is I went for an interview, and the guy was reluctant. He was dragging his feet on hiring people. The interview was for a video editing position, and I went for it. And the guy said he liked me. A month later, I called him. I said, "Have you hired anybody?" "No, we haven't hired anybody." Another month went by, and I called him. He said, "No." So I just went there. I went. But at this time, it was whatever. I went there in the afternoon, and I let myself in the building, and I sat down at a computer and started editing video stuff and putting it online. And I did that every day for a week, and then I just put in a bill, and they paid me for the bill. I put it in as a freelance bill, and they paid me. And then I just kept going back there, and the CEO called up the head of the department and said, "Who's doing all this News 12 video on our website? I really like it." And because he just, I don't know his name. He just comes in every day and does it. He said, well, give him a job. And so they hired me to run the department. We're doing this new, because they were putting out broadband modems at the time, and the thing was to get people excited about what you could get with a broadband modem. Hire him as our multimedia guy in charge of showing off what you can do with the modem. And so now I'm running a department. Like, I hired myself. Nobody ever said you hired, you got the job. I just went in and started doing the work and giving them bills, and they started paying it. The CEO was so impressed that he said, "Give him a job." Before I know it, I'm in like executive training programs and all this stuff. And it was just like it's a weird way to hire yourself, but that's a story for the book.
That's how I married my first wife. My first wife, I just walked in and started sleeping with her. And I walked in and started sleeping with her. I started doing things around the house. I started doing dishes, laundry.
Who's that black guy?
Yeah. She goes, "Okay, you're hired. You're my husband."
Right. By the way, if you need we have a new app out. It's called whitepal.com. If you're a black guy and you need a white friend, we can hook you up with nationwide. We can hook you up with a white friend. Generally, that will always be Ron Kane, but you never know. It's time for the news. Let's do news, and then we'll come back and meet an author.
Ukraine's parliament has outlawed religious groups with ties to the Russian Orthodox Church or any other faith group that supports Russia's invasion.
This legislation is widely perceived as targeting a Ukrainian religious organization, despite its assertion of independence from Moscow. The bill provides the government with legal means to ban the activities of any religious group found to be closely linked to Russia or supportive of its invasion of Ukraine. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
A former Minneapolis police officer convicted in the killing of George Floyd has been released from federal custody, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Thomas Lane was convicted in 2022 of violating Floyd's civil rights during the fatal arrest on May 25, 2020, by former officer Derek Chauvin. Lane received a 2.5-year federal prison sentence in 2022. Earlier that year, he was also convicted on state charges of aiding and abetting manslaughter and sentenced to 3 years. Liam White reporting.
2 German Navy vessels made a rare stop in Tokyo Bay following their participation in the rim of the Pacific military exercises during a global tour.
These vessels are part of Germany's Indo-Pacific deployment, intended to demonstrate support for allies in Japan, Malaysia, South Korea, and India. The tour comes amid rising tensions in the South China Sea due to China's activities, leading Germany to join the RIMPAC exercises for the first time in 2021. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Tens of thousands of customers in Puerto Rico remain without power more than a week after Tropical Storm Ernesto passed through the U.S. territory. Officials have vowed to restore electricity to all affected areas by the weekend.
The National Weather Service has issued another excessive heat advisory, warning of dangerously hot and humid conditions. Over 40,000 of the nearly 1.5 million customers were still without power as of the afternoon. Paul Gomez reporting.
All right.
This is the latest news headlines.
Bomb them. Better be a good story or I'm bombing you. Come on now.
A high-profile dispute between the United Auto Workers and Stellantis.
Yeah. It sounds like, I've been a supporter of Ukraine. I have been a supporter of Ukraine. Not that I'm sending them money or anything. I mean, look kind of like what Andy Andrews says. Do you support the troops? Yeah. How? What exactly do you do? I say I support the troops. I say I support Ukraine. But this move about cracking down on religion sounds kind of a bit fascist to me. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like religion, but I don't like people who crack down on religion.
Every time I come, I yell out, "I support the troops."
Huh.
Yeah, but
so you basically never yell that out then. Oh.
No.
Oh, wait a minute.
And by troops, you mean the little spermatozoa that are swimming
I
out.
forgot about manually igniting the rocket.
I've been edging myself for 20 years.
Wow. Now, I'm sorry to be such a fucking dope, but what does edging mean? Because I hear the term edging every once in a while, and I think that brings you to the edge of climax, but you don't ever come. Is that that's
you
frustrating?
stop.
Why would anybody do that?
Torture.
Give yourself blue balls?
It's better you give it to yourself than someone else give it to you. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Better not to ever get it. No?
Is
there something? Am I missing something? Is there something good about not coming? Thinking you're going to come and then not coming?
It can be. It depends on what you're doing. I mean, it's not something I wouldn't suggest like doing that to yourself. You're like, I just got to edge myself. But
I wouldn't even want anybody else. I wouldn't want like the hottest supermodel who ever lived, and I don't know who that is. Come to think of it,
that would be
Claudia Schiffer. Claudia Schiffer, remember her? Claudia Schiffer, David Copperfield. She was.
Yeah.
I wonder what she looks like now. She probably looks like a dried up sponge.
Oh, David Copperfield was actually just in the news because he trashed like a multi-million-dollar like condo or penthouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess magic makes you angry.
You mean trash like he talked trash about it, or trash like he did like a Rolling Stones?
No, that's what I'm thinking. Like a rock star thing.
Yeah, he did the rock star thing and he destroyed it apparently.
How did he? Because that takes a lot of work at his age, doesn't it?
He's got to be. He's probably at least my age, right? You think?
Then he can't. He couldn't have trashed it himself. He had to have assistance. He goes like he looked over to the lady and she goes, "How about this?" He goes, "Yes, take that lamp and throw it." And then she goes like this and she traipses around with the lamp and then she tosses it. That's the whole. That's the
maybe. Well, maybe he just went and it got trashed.
That's true. Yes, he was like trash it. Yes.
He is 67.
He's older than me. Wow.
I didn't know that. I didn't know people live longer than that.
I wonder what the state of magic is, because magic falls in and out of popularity because the tricks get old and stupid and really, how much me so lady and half, that nonsense. But it had a resurgence with people like Blaine. Copperfield was big, and then it was like falling off, and then it was just like your grandfather's entertainment, and then Blaine and Chris Angel came along and kind of renewed interest in it. And then now their acts have gotten old. Now I've seen some clips online about America's Got Talent where they've had some interesting new people on in magic. They had a girl who was a quick change artist. She's just going through dresses like that, and I can't figure out how she's doing it. I have a background in magic. I have no idea how she is changing from one costume to another, going from short skirts to long gowns, just like that, whoops. And it seems like she's throwing it on herself.
Yeah, it's twins. It's twins. The other one's already changing, and they walk behind the curtain and poof like that.
Well, the headline is David Copperfield is being sued by New York City Condo Board for over $2.5 million for allegedly trashing Manhattan penthouse. And the lawsuit asks the magician repair the dangerous, unacceptable, and unsanitary conditions in the unit and provide millions in damages. And there's some pictures here, and we can show them. I'll put this in showbiz. It's nasty.
Wow.
All right. Becky says Copperfield was on Epstein's list. I don't know, Becky. Someday you're gonna have to explain to me why you use numbers instead of letters often. Like what? Because she does this all the time. I follow her on Twitter, and I have to decode what the hell she's saying because there are numbers in places of letters.
I think some things the AI won't. It's like some words that, like, for example, in the morning when we do the comments, I try to type in minddogtv.com, support your local mercenaries. It won't let me put minddogtv.com. It deletes my comment as soon as I write that. So I have to write minddogtv and then spell out the word dot and then the word com. You know, otherwise
Ian, it probably has the better solution for any of this stuff. Just make up something that sounds like it, which really is a little dirty. David Copperfield. That's probably even better than putting it. Anyway, so all right, so the algorithms don't like some words, but I don't know. She does this all the time, and it's very confusing, and it's always worked for me because I do follow her, and I read almost every post I see if she's on there. But then I'm like, what the hell does that mean? She's using numbers instead of letters. Larger language models are getting really sophisticated. Okay, time to move on to our second guest of the day now. CC Robinson. She sounds like should be a song, right? CC.
Yeah, here's to you, CC Robinson. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking CC Ryder.
No, that's stupid. CC Robinson. Oh my! I can't believe you.
I'm sorry. Did you just insult the host?
No, I insulted you. You're stupid for saying that. Stupid. That's from what's that? The Rainmaker. It says,
right.
We have told you 7 times you must be stupid.
All right, I'll let you. I allow it this time, but next time you're fired. CC Robinson is the author of a young adult dystopian series, Divided, with book 1 Divided out 9/7/24, which those numbers I can figure out. That's September 7th, which is 2 weeks away from now. She's here now. CC Robinson.
That's the model's dimensions.
Would you let me finish reading this so we can get her in here?
Okay, I'll wait.
CC Robinson has over 2 decades experience in cross-cultural settings as a medical doctor working in post-Civil War nations. We're a post-Civil War nation, right? As an associate pastor and multi-ethnic congregation led by African-American man in Cincinnati. The setting for Divided is, and she's here now. Let's just bring her in. Good morning, CC.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you guys today?
Well, we're doing well. We had a landscaper interview this morning, and
wow,
I know
landscapers to dystopia. Whiplash.
Well, to be honest with you, I was a little. I was like, "What? How did a landscaper get booked on my show? What the hell are we going to talk about a landscaper about?" But it was a very good conversation. I was really delighted to have. Now, with I want to bring up the book. Did I even bother to load in the books, or am I just a terrible person? Divided, yeah. So that's not the first book, though. You had a prequel to it, right?
Yep. Hold on. I'm tangled up in wires.
Hold on, I'm going to bring the books in just because I can. I know you're showing them. The question I have for you is, why are young people so excited or interested in dystopia? Is it because we are living in one?
One, I think they love the stories of their youth. If you look at who is 24 right now and go back 12 years, and what were they raised on? They were raised on Hunger Games, Divergent, Harry Potter, like all these just classic science fiction or dystopian novels. And it's somewhat of a nostalgia thing, one, but two, I think also young people realize that we are living in an age where things could go sideways real fast. And there's alternating maybe fear about that, but then also a question of, can we do something to affect this?
Right.
GD needs a definition of dystopia. I know he doesn't, but he asked for one yesterday. So we're gonna ask you what does it mean in your use of the word?
Well, obviously, dys is the opposite of utopia. So dystopian novels are the opposite of a utopia, which means they're not good. They're not fun to live in. They're oppressive government. But generally, dystopian novels take one societal evil and blow it up. They make it the center of the world. For instance, if you think about 1984, it was all about, Big Brother, government control, and government dictating the very basics of our life, even down to you can't even have that thought, that look that transmitted over your face is not okay. And so that's one of the classics, right? Others, like maybe Hunger Games, took classism and division and blew that up made that the controlling factor of the world. You think about Handmaid's Tale, that was lack of reproductive freedom made that the controlling factor of the world. So in a lot of ways, dystopian novels are social commentary as well.
I get it.
That explains it, because I grew up in Baltimore City, and so I thought that dystopia was the opposite of datopia. Dystopia over here, and then you got datopia over there, and so now I understand.
You're completely correct. 100%.
Yeah, no, he grew up on Abbott and Costello, I think. Now, does this normalize? Because I brought up yesterday when promoting this show. My concern is that it's normalizing. It's conditioning young people to accept this and rather than fight against it, or try to be a part of the resistance of society breaking down. What's your take on that?
So I think maybe some of the older classical dystopian novels, you might have been able to make that argument, because in the end there was no, we win. There was no, we beat the bad guy. But modern dystopian novels have woven in some of the, if you will, superhero ethos from like Marvel and different DC Comics, woven those into dystopian writing. And so now we do see at the end, things are starting to get fixed or maybe fixed. So I think it's important to give young people especially hope that you can affect this. You can make changes if you decide to do things differently than maybe your older generations did.
Right. I agree. It's important to, and I am not a hopeful person. I'm by nature the most pessimistic person on the planet. But I do think hope is an important thing. And I think part of the reason I am just as grumpy as I am is I don't find a lot of hope in anything we see.
Well, yeah, you have to be careful how much news you watch. I don't watch that much news.
Right.
It's okay. You can tell Matt just to give up. It's okay.
Yeah, no,
I'm not going to do that.
That's what I'm really hoping for, is permission from anybody to give up.
My husband says he has the gift of reality.
Is he a pessimist?
You have.
Yeah, maybe. So now, but you wrote the prequel. Generally, the way it works is people in a series, they'll put out the series, and then when the series is done, they want to still continue on with that series. I'll write the prequel. This seems like a strategic thing for you. You started with a prequel. Yes?
Yeah, start at the beginning. I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram, but I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, which is this challenger. I see a rule or a convention and I go, how can we break that? So I actually released Upheaval. I wrote it as a taste of my writing in order to help readers enter the world of Divided and warm them up for Divided. The fact that I decided to actually publish it was just, well, I've put all this money into it. I might as well go ahead and publish it and make a few bucks. That was an economic decision, but I wrote it so readers could get to know the world.
Making a few bucks in the publishing industry is almost like I think I'll go into comedy and make a few bucks.
Yeah, if you want to make money, do something else.
Yeah. Well, they know. They know, believe me. They're comedians, and they used to. They actually, I pay my landscapers more, and I don't even have landscapers, which is interesting enough.
Oh.
But also,
I don't know about comedy, but I would say publishing. If you want to make money, go do something else.
Yeah, we were talking about the landscapers and how we look down upon landscapers. We really look down upon comedians. I mean, God, it's just awful people.
Comedians look down upon comedians.
Yeah. That's
I don't
true.
look down upon comedians. I laugh at comedians. I love it.
Well, you probably haven't been to their shows. I'm just saying. Now you're right. Comedians, the good comedians, the ones who are bringing joy to the world, are a definite positive, something we need. But there are so many people who wear that label comedian who really, they're just people up there talking. They've been given a microphone and they're talking and not saying anything funny. That's not very helpful. And there's lots of them. I don't want to get
up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't make me play that. Because I'm hoping to get one of people on his network on the show. So I'm trying to not to diss Tom anymore. I love Tom. He's one of my favorites. So now the next book, Divided, is out September 7th. And that's not the final book, right? This is the first in a series.
Yes.
How do
Again, breaking rules. 4, not 3.
Right. But we talked about giving hope, but you're not really, the story's not ending with this stuff. It's like teasing hope rather than giving hope, right?
This story also has hope. You know, Marcos escapes the city. He's over his life, just done, and does something, an 18-year-old boy would do. And it's a very rash decision, and just figures out a way out of the city and gets out. The only problem is he gets caught by the patrols and ends up in a secret and illegal labor camp. And when he's there, of course, he's about ready to give up, and he sees there's no hope. And yet there's a resistance movement that he joins when he's there. And he's frustrated at the lack of activity among older generations. And so his mentor just kind of challenges him and says, okay, do something about it. And so he does, and makes unlikely allies. And I won't spoil it, but they do end up making a major move and probably getting themselves into a lot of trouble with the regime. And so it's like they go from the frying pan into the fire in a lot of ways, but he does it with collaboratively with other people, other teenagers who don't look like him. They've been divided, and divided, it's named for a reason. Ethnicities have been divided away from each other for over 4 decades. And so you've got cultures growing up isolated away. You think about how integrated we all are in a lot of ways. Our cultures influence each other, but in Divided, there's not been that. And so Marcos, as a Hispanic teen, has never even met someone from another ethnicity. And now all of a sudden he's in this labor camp with all ethnicities, and he's like a little overwhelmed, like, what's going on and how do we get out of this? And so by joining forces with like-minded teenagers, because of course it's young adult, has to be teenagers, they do get him out. And won't spoil the whole process because that's fun and interesting, but there is hope at the end, but also a little bit of a threat.
Wow. There's a little bit of synchronicity here because just today, Ron Kane has launched his app, White Pal. It is basically for people of color to get acquainted with, have a white friend. They find a white friend and make connections with white friends. So, very cool. No, but here's the thing now. In a series, I don't know if you want necessarily, I don't know if hope is the driving force to get people to read the next book and keep reading. You want them to be tune in next week. Batman's about to get the get sawed in half or something, and the peril of where you end up. Not to give away the ending of the book, but I think that's what you need to keep people interested in the next one. So that's not hope. That's like intrigue. Like, oh, how the hell are you going to get out of this?
Same divided time, same divided channel.
Just another challenge.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do now your protagonist is male, and this is an interesting thing of talking to many authors. Male authors almost never, or very few, with very few exceptions, have their protagonist be a female. But lots of female authors write their protagonist as a male. That's just an interesting thing to me. First of all, how do you adopt the mindset of an 18-year-old male? Because you're not an 18-year-old male.
I'm not an 18-year-old male, but I did have one in my house. That helps. I have 3 kids, 3 Gen Z well, not teens any longer, 18, 19, and 22. And so I've had the male species, especially the middle school and high school male species in my house lots of times, cleaning out my cupboards, making sure everything is nice and bare, like a horde of locusts. So I've had plenty of time to study that, but I did a lot of research. And this is the part of authoring, even fiction authoring, that I don't think a lot of readers are familiar with, is how much research we have to do. So I did interviews, actually talked to people and ask them questions, because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm also white and I write from a Hispanic perspective, an Asian perspective, a Black perspective, and a white young man. And I will say, I think the hardest one, like mentally for me to get into their head, was the white young man. The girls were a lot easier, and I could integrate the research and the feedback I got from friends of mine and colleagues who are of different ethnicities into their characterizations. And I started with Marcos. He was the first character that really came to me, and so I feel like I know him the best. And so there are times when I'm like, okay, what would an 18-year-old boy do in this instance? Like, what would he say? And it would probably be snarky. So, okay, let's go with snark. So I think it's just a different mindset, and it takes a lot of research. But once you're firm on the characterizations and you've really got them tight, then these people just like your family members, or yourself. Like you have insight.
Well, just going to say a couple comments here. Let me comment here. First of all, not every author does a lot of research. I think you are, because of your academic background, more inclined to. I've talked to like over 1,500 authors, and some do a lot of research and really are meticulous with that. But there are some just fly by the seat of their pants, just sit down and start writing, and the book is done without ever doing any research. I don't think there's any one thing on that. But the other part of it is the protagonist, and I've said this a lot and people disagree with me, but eventually it comes down to some kind of understanding. The protagonist is somehow always a version of you, whether it's in some way a better version of you that you've imagined yourself like in some way, but it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of room for a better version of you that is a snarky male Hispanic dude, teenage boy.
Marcos may share some qualities or traits of mine, and maybe they're in all my protagonists, but I've written from all 4 young teens' points of view. So I would say if I'm most like anyone, maybe it's Harriet, which is a bit unusual, but yeah, I would say there's sprinklings of me, but I would also, challenge and say there's probably sprinklings of some of my friends too.
All right, now you mentioned sprinkling.
Yeah,
I just want to say, GD has a question for you. It's
Yes.
probably going to be like, what would your protagonist's favorite ice cream cone be, and what kind of sprinkles would he ask for on it? And then you will say, "Oh, that's a great question." You won't actually mean that's a great question. You mean that's a stupid question that doesn't give anybody any value, but he will feel very vindicated and say, "Well, she said it was a great question." Go ahead, GD. Ask your great question.
There goes that question. Can't ask that one. No. I was just going to say, when it comes to your research with teens, it's like you're kind of like the Jane Goodall of the male teen species. you're just observe.
I would never compare male teams to apes.
Right. No, the apes would
never,
be offended.
Ever.
The apes would definitely be offended.
When it comes to what's on the mind of a male teen, it's sex. You don't have to research that. Yeah. So, and I mean,
that and food.
Yeah. Sex and food, the basics.
And independence too, probably.
Yeah.
But that's only independent so they can be free to look for sex and food.
Yeah. Now let's the issue that is really bugging me right now. Mm-hmm. You're a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be a doctor, it requires great discipline, and you really have to throw your life into that with great passion and purpose for a lot of years. Did you just do all that, like from your youth? I want to be a doctor. I'm going to go through all the crap that I have to do to be a doctor, and at some point say, I'm not really happy with it. I'd rather be an author. I mean, how do you lose? I don't know that you have lost passion for medicine. I'm just saying, how do you get from being really driven by that, but you have to be driven for that, and then to that where you're saying, you know what, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to write dystopian young adult novels.
So I am older than I look, but I will say that I went in. Yeah, I'm older than 25. I went through medical school in order to get my master's in public health and be able to open clinics in under-resourced settings. I thought when I first started, that was going to be in the cities, maybe someplace like inner city Chicago, and God had other plans and sent me to post-Civil War situations. So we did work briefly in Afghanistan before the Taliban took back over. We did work in the mountains of Colombia during their Civil War. We worked in Sierra Leone the longest, that was 10 years. And I will say that the reason the pivot happened wasn't really because I wanted to be an author. It was because as a mom, my kids were getting to the age where international travel was becoming difficult. It was becoming just untenable. And to be honest, our Sierra Leone partner was ready to take everything over. And we had been moving together for a while. There was a time when everything those clinics needed in Sierra Leone, we had to bring in. And slowly the country began recovering, and other resources from neighboring nations became available, whether that was over in Ghana or in Senegal, wherever it was, they could actually start to get medicines and supplies and other things. And so they were less reliant upon us, which was good. That was the intention. That was the design. We didn't want them being reliant on us. This is not some colonialistic model. This is a partnership. Let's work together and let's see your nation recover. And after a while, it was just obvious that, okay, let's just train a bunch of leaders with you and let's up your leadership game so that you can just go fly. And they were doing this without our help. And it was just amazing to see. And we're like, okay, we love you, but you don't really need us anymore. And that's okay. So we were done there. And then we were looking for other projects, and God just moved us from Nashville, where we were. Both of us attended Vanderbilt University for medical school, and then we're there for 10 years after. And we moved up to Cincinnati to plant the church with amazing couple that we've known for over 20 years. And this is where my husband's from. And just a lot of things said, okay, let's just be here. And I started working for the church. Nonprofit management is a big part of my training. And so that's what I do here. I manage a nonprofit. Basically, it's a church. Wow. And so I didn't do medicine here, never practiced inside the country, inside the U.S. I don't know that I'd want to be honest. And I like the freedom that we had to be able to practice without some of the restrictions that we have here on like, oh, you have to follow these 10 steps and you have 12 minutes with the patient. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's
It would seem that all that experience definitely lends to being able to write about dystopia. The question that I had right off the bat is because you talked about your kids with international travel. International travel would be the least of my concern because you're living in countries and places that, even though it's post-Civil War, it is still not quite stable yet, and things could take a turn for the worse at any time. I mean, we see that stress and all that kind of stuff. That had to be overwhelming, like thinking about how do you raise a family in those conditions and still maintain your sanity.
There was only one time when I thought, oh, this could go sideways. And
that was here in America.
No, it was in Liberia. It was in Liberia. I don't recommend a border crossing in Africa overland if you're white. That's just not something that you should probably do. But Liberia was even newer out of their civil war than Sierra Leone was. It was interesting. I talked with a UN soldier in Sierra Leone. He's from Bangladesh originally. And he told me, people in Sierra Leone have laid down not only the guns in their hands, but the guns in their hearts. But he had been to Liberia as well. And he said, the people in Liberia have laid down the guns in their hands, but not yet the guns in their hearts. And I think that's why Sierra Leone felt different. I never felt unsafe in Sierra Leone. Challenged, yes. Tired, yes. Hot, yes. Sweaty, yes. Unsafe, no. In Liberia, there was one time in particular that I was not safe. It was not a safe situation, but God was with me and we got out of it. And it just wasn't something that I worried about on a regular basis.
All right. You know what? That's an interesting thing because I often say about like our colonialist exercises that we do here in the United States, sending people over. You can't invade a country and force them to think a certain way or believe a certain way. Their heart has to be in it, and you can't force democracy or freedom on people. They have to win their hearts and minds. You can't win them by force. And so now the novels, they take place in America.
Yes.
Right.
A future America. Yes.
And America, whose hearts are divided. This is where I'm going. Like, do you see any point where we're going to lay down our guns in our hearts in America?
I hope so. I really hope so. That is one of the biggest aims of me writing this series, is to encourage people to not live in rows in their life. If you think about a row, we're all facing front and you have your own opinion. You're not really talking to your neighbor. You're just, advocating, you're protesting, you're doing whatever, but you're not doing it in community, but rather live with a table. And you think about a table, you can look each other in the eye. Often it's involving a meal. And so you're getting out of your comfort zone, talking with people, listening, dialoguing. And it's my hope that I can inspire the next generation to live their lives around tables instead of just in rows.
Would that be a round table or
it's up to you. It's up to you.
Well, I think oval tables.
It could be an octagon for all you want.
Well, I do think that oval tables have a position of power in it, and anytime you have a position of power, then things can go sideways. This is interesting. Now, you've said the word God a couple of times in here. You mentioned the word church. I've come to a place where I totally support people who have faith and beliefs in whatever they want to believe. I do think organized religion and this idea that God, because you said God was with me, I think this idea that God wants us to win It rubs me the wrong way. It puts me in a bad state of mind. I think I wrote a song called with God on Our Side because I think every war starts with God wants us to win. And I was thinking of writing a book for people, whether they are religious or complete atheists, that questions for God. The first question would be, why do you want people that you've created to kill each other in your name? Any thoughts on that?
I don't think he does. And I think that if you look at history, you'll see that people who say God said, do this war, are they doing it because of God, or are they doing it because they want to, and they're just dragging God's name through the mud in the process?
Yeah.
So no, God, for me, I don't know that, like, someone on a football team may say, oh, God wants us to win. I really don't think God cares about the outcome of a football match.
I brought up that earlier.
And I'm not entirely certain he even cares about the outcome of civil wars. He cares about justice and mercy and love, and cares about his people. He made us, and I don't think he wants to see us fighting. I don't endorse that at all.
Yeah.
Also, like in my book, like God has a very, I would say, it's not a Christian book by any stretch of the imagination. One character is a believer, but she struggles in her faith, and I think that's a normal thing to struggle. And what does it look like to live this faith out on a day-to-day basis in the middle of a dictatorship where it's outlawed? Faith is outlawed in my book, and the Supreme Commander has commanded only he be worshipped. So only faith in the Supreme Commander, very much like North Korea nowadays.
Cool. I'll just push back a little bit on that, and I think God did want the Mets to beat the Orioles, not because he loves me, but because he hates CD. No, it's a question I think about all the time, and I think you're right. People do bring God into it, but and I don't want to get into a theological discussion here. But the question always that begs is, why would God allow people to drag his name into this? Like, you know what? Leave my name out of it. With such a vengeful or a idea of respect and don't use my name in vain. The worst way you could use his name in vain is to say this war is brought to you by God Almighty. So I would think you'd say, no, I don't. Here's the message, folks. I have a bigger microphone than anybody, and I'm saying, no, I don't support this war. Stop killing each other.
Yeah, the hard part about it is he gives us free will. So,
free will comes back every time.
Yeah. We do get to make our own decisions.
Yeah.
And, if God struck us down the minute we did something to offend him, there'd be none of us alive.
Right. Well, GD basically wouldn't be alive, but the rest of us.
But we don't know also, because people anthropomorphize God as if God had human feelings. My belief is that, God is somewhat detached, and so doesn't have those feelings, so we can't hurt God's feelings. So, I'd still be around. You're right. I'd be around.
He's definitely not like us. That's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so
he's a she. No.
Yeah. So now the first book has been out a while.
Upheaval.
Upheaval. I'm sorry. Upheaval. That's been out a while. Now, have you heard from a lot of young people about the book? Do you get a lot? Do you read your reviews and all that stuff and respond to them?
I do read my reviews. I don't respond to them because I don't think I can on Amazon. I think that's a violation of terms of service. But if people post stuff on social media, absolutely, I respond.
So, but the question that you got into this with hope of kind of getting young people to stop living in rows, as you said. Did so far has your hope for that outcome been increased or decreased or stayed the same with who is?
Oh, definitely increased. Early readers, and as of the time of this recording, it's not out yet for public consumption, but early readers are saying like, wow, this made me think, or loved it. And, I love the ending, so I'm not going to spoil it, but like every time I've read my book so many times, but every time I get to the ending, I'm just like so happy. I nearly cry. And at the same time, I'm just so excited for people to,
Happy. You know what? I think we need more happy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I think we are so wrapped up in fear and looking for what's wrong. We spend our time looking at things to make us angry. Well, what's bad, and we highlight that. So good for you. And it seems like a conflict there, not a conflict of interest, but to write about dystopia, but then try to to highlight the happiness. That seems like a challenge. I could write dystopia all day. That makes people feel like giving up.
Yeah, I'm not one that's motivated by fear. And when I feel that kind of vibe coming up, I'm the one who attacks it and punches it down. So like in my writing, yes, there's times when the characters are afraid. There's times when the reader's afraid for the characters. But I want the thread through the whole thing to be one of courage in the face of fear. Impossible odds are not impossible if you've got courage and some friends.
Right. Have your boys read your book?
I have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Oh,
and
right.
Yeah, and yes.
Now, are they? Do you base? Do you put a lot of credence in their opinion? I mean, basically, I know. Basically, my family will tell me, "Yeah, it's great, no matter what. I could do the worst work."
No, my daughters are pretty. They're pretty upfront. My youngest is an excellent developmental editor. I had a developmental editor as well, but Katie Rose gave me some great feedback on characterizations and world building, and then my oldest daughter Ruth is an excellent copy editor. She was part of the proofreading team at the end of Divided, and oh yeah, she caught so many things. So my husband even found a missing period.
You raised the cottage industry. You basically trained it. All right.
Yeah.
I get it.
I pay them in food.
Yeah. Good for you. Now, last question here. This is the first official book of the series, not a prequel. Are all the books written and just waiting for publishing, or are they just planned to be written?
So I have written to the end of the story, but my first drafts stink and belong in the trash as a general rule of thumb. So I am in the midst of rewriting book 2.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's just 2 books? I thought it was 4.
4, right. But I'm working on book 2 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've talked to authors who've written, I know I said that was the last question, but it always leads to one more question. Written series and the ending, and I know I feel this way. Whenever a project is done, I get depressed. It's like, now what do? I got to come up with a new project. When this thing is done, the story is told, and you get to the end of the story. Is there like a separation anxiety or whatever depression or whatever comes with the end of a project for you?
I don't know. This has been my all-consuming project for about 10 years.
Right.
So
that's a problem, is because you put your life into something, and then when that project ends, it's like, I got to go to a new phase of my life that I'm unsure of, the uncertainty of where I go from here.
The good thing is that I do have an entire long list of more ideas, including a flash fiction piece that's satirical dystopian in the vein of like Kurt Vonnegut. And it's only 750 words, but it won't leave me. And so I'm like, it's about toxic positivity.
Wow.
Take that with what you will. Yeah.
I like it. I
knew you'd like it. I knew you would.
Yeah.
It's snarky too.
Yeah,
super snarky.
I just have one question real quick. It's about your name and the use of initials. So obviously CC is metric. So what would it stand for in the imperial system? What?
No, you have to start by saying that's a great question, even though you don't mean it.
Fantastic question.
Yeah.
How about IN?
Okay.
Now, has anybody ever said to you, Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me?
No. They usually sing it to me.
Well, that's the line that Dustin Hoffman says to Anne Bancroft. Is that who's playing this? Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you here. I wish you good luck with the books. And
thank you so much.
Are you doing anything like a launch party or something on the 17th?
Yeah, on the 7th. On the 7th, yes, I do have a virtual launch party, and the details will be on my social media.
Okay, ccrobinsonauthor.com. Yes. Link is in the description. I hope people will check the book out. I'm not sure how many young adults we have. We have old adults. That's okay. Pretty much. But
old adults have young adults in their family.
That's right. Anyway, thanks for being here, and good luck with the book.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now. I got to take the book out because it's covering my beautiful face. ccrobinsonauthor.com. Well, what Becky's saying, good joke. I like those types of jokes. I got it. What joke is she talking about?
CC and translating it to imperial system.
Oh, so she likes the young adult dystopian jokes, not the comedian jokes.
No, it was definitely the CC. It was definitely the CC metric to imperial joke.
So she does your job better than you do, is what we're getting now.
See, she just verified it. See.
Yeah, CC. So you like CC's joke better than you ever liked a Ron Kane lingerie joke or a GD race-oriented joke. It's basically. All right. Well, that's where we've gotten today. Interesting. Two good guests today. I really enjoyed these conversations. Post-Civil War. I didn't talk to her about the United States being post-Civil War. How long do you get?
That's because we're also pre-Civil War, depending on the election results.
See, this is part of the negativity that surrounds my life. If you're on Twitter, Civil War trends every like 3 or 4 days, where there are people just calling for civil war. You don't really want a civil war, believe me. It's no fun. It's not a party you want to be invited to. But how long is it post-Civil War for? Because the entire world is post-Civil War. If you're gonna, right? It's just some of it is thousands of years post-Civil War. What is that noise?
Don't know yet.
You hear that noise? You're not hearing it?
I just muted myself. It's not me.
No, it sounds like Steven farting in my ear, and Steven's not even here to fart. Do we know what happened to Steven? Is he okay? Is he on the road? Do you guys keep up with your friend Steven? He's your friend.
The static goes away when I mute Ron. I don't know.
Muting me. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll deal with the static, whatever that is.
Okay. I did not check on Steven because
Mr. Ortiz. We call him Mr. Ortiz. That's what we call him. No,
I didn't check on Mr. Ortiz. I just assumed he was going to be late because he was on Michigan time. But who knows? Maybe that other comedian had his way with him and he can't get out of bed.
I like that other guy, even though he really didn't say anything funny. Just his presence is he has kind of a I don't know, Chris Farley danger. Like this guy could do anything at any time. You could see him just taking the computer and smashing it during the show, and that's what I like. A little bit of danger in comedians. Not that I want somebody to just like go off and totally Sam Kinison or Gallagher me or something like that. But all right, moving on. Do we have show business? I mean, it's Thursday. I miss showbiz. I haven't had any show.
I do have showbiz news.
All right, let's get to showbiz news. I'm hopefully somebody died.
And I'll do gamer news after that.
Oh yeah, gamer news, Wait, let me take this banner out first before we do showbiz. Hopefully somebody died. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and hope there's news about somebody dying.
And now, bringing you the latest in entertainment news from Hollywood, New York, and East Bumfuck, Montana, here's our chief entertainment correspondent, Ron Kane. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Showbiz. Showbiz.
Now, that doesn't look like somebody died.
No, it doesn't. Well, I figured since the DNC is going on, and this is Showbiz, why not have an IUD, inflatable IUD?
There was I don't know if this is in response to, there was this thing in the news, Apple News app, about the pain of inserting or taking IUDs out. Is that what inspired this, or?
No, it's just because I was trying to. Apparently they had the inflatable IUD somewhere around the DNC, but I couldn't find any pictures of it. So this has popped up at other things like at Planned Parenthood and other places. So
Looks like something you would find on Tracy's dog, like a double-ended dildo or something. And you pull that ring on the bottom. You pull that for like, I don't know,
like a hand grenade. Detonates. Wow.
Ouch. Okay. Moving on.
It's one of those things where now I can't find my tab for the slide. Yeah,
tabs for slides. I think. Do I have tabs for slides? I think.
I don't have tabs for slides.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck it went to. Something's.
Well, just pretend you change the slide.
So we'll just look at this IUD for the entire time and hope people died. Did people die? If Donnie died a week ago. All right.
I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. Find what the hell is going on here.
What the hell is going on here?
All right. Let me. Yeah. It's the problem is me. I got like 50. I got 50 tabs.
Close down Pornhub.
And X
I
Hamster.
can't. I love it so much. All right. Here we go. Now we should fix this problem. That was just my bad organization today. There we go. All right. So. Yeah, so we were just talking about David Copperfield, and there are some of the pictures from this $7 million penthouse that he was.
He shit in the tub.
He had something going on in the tub. I mean,
wow.
Right? I don't know what he was doing in that tub or what.
Are we not sure that he was not rehearsing his new show routine in there?
Yeah, maybe you're right, GD. But you can see, like here, like there's like 2 circles there, so he had something sitting there for a bit.
Yeah,
could be 2 butt cheeks. Could be 2. No, maybe 2 breasts. 2 breasts.
Yeah. Who knows what he was doing in this place? It's very strange, but. That is currently happening in New York. That's in your neck of the woods, Matt.
So. Is he sponsoring toupees? Is
Probably.
that? Yeah, because it looks like he's wearing one. I'm just, I don't know. I'm just trying to look up stuff. Is he still married to Claudia Schiffer? Do we know? Probably she left him because of that toupee.
Yeah, maybe she left, or maybe she left him because of his fucking bad habits like this. Maybe he shits and pisses in the tub.
Yeah, no, you can't be doing that. Partner Claudia Schiffer, 1994 to 1999, and Chloe Gosselin, 2006 to present. So no, poor Claudia Schiffer. Oh, she's out of public limelight. I want to see.
I think that tub is from David Copperfield trying to make a body disappear. That looks like acid stains, acid and blood.
I could see when he got together with Claudia. They're close to getting married. Maybe one time they were together, and she walks in the bathroom, and he's just shitting in the tub. It's like, this is just something I do. This is just something I do.
Claudia Schiffer, born August 25th, 1970. So it's almost her birthday. Let's wish her a happy birthday and hope she still looks hot. That's all.
Yeah.
Speaking of Claudia Schiffer, that's a good picture of her.
Yeah. So this is Michael Keaton, and he was just talking about this Batgirl movie that was made by Warner Brothers, and the movie is completely finished and it's been shelved. and the movie stars him and Brandon Fraser in it. And he was asked about it, and he's like, "You know what? I had a good time, and I got a paycheck. That's all I care."
Wow, that's. I mean, that's honest, but you don't get that a lot. Last time I heard that was Eddie Murphy when he had like a cameo where he's driving a tank in a movie. He was on Letterman and said, "What?" Letterman asked him, like, "Why did you do this movie?" He said, "The check was amazing." They sent the check. He did it for $25 million or something, and he had like a 2-minute part in it. It was like 1984 or something.
Yeah, that's the kind of money I used to get for movies.
I think with this, people expect him to like lobby for it or whatever, but he's just a paid actor on it. It's like, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Just
I appreciate his. Now, is he sponsoring that toupee? He's bald. He's bald. That's not real hair on top of his head. I like Michael Keaton, but that's not real hair. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it may not be.
Definitely not.
On Daniel Tosh's podcast, he's actually really been open about like the hair plugs and stuff that he has, because he showed pictures when he was in his early 20s, and he definitely didn't have a lot of hair, and he's been seeing this hair guy for years now.
Wow, good for him being honest about it. But he had me fooled. I guess the hair plugs is different than a toupee.
He said he chose this guy because of the type of work that he does, and his hair does look good. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
I had a friend who had hair plugs back in the early '80s, and they had not perfected it yet, and he looked like he had little onion sprouts going like in spaces. That a bald head with like little, like you wanted to pull them out, you wanted to pluck them out, like there's weeds in your garden type of.
Yeah, Trump had surgery trying to fix his bald spot, and it made him so angry that he took it out on his first wife.
He beat her and raped her over.
Yeah.
It. Look what you made! You made a monster out of me. I think that was.
And for those of you who don't believe me, check the police report. It's there.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this story here because. Go ahead, Ron. Take it away. You describe what we're looking at.
Yeah, so Donald Trump was just on Theo Vaughn's podcast. What happened? It's called like last weekend.
Past weekend.
Yeah, this past weekend. Mm-hmm. And I've watched probably about 25 minutes of it so far, and it's pretty much it's softball questions and shit like that. And it's almost somewhat embarrassing because he's supposed to be a comic, and you're not going to press this guy on like fucking free speech and things like that. So, I mean, if you really want to see an interview that's kind of softballish, but then still kind of a train wreck, you may want to check it out.
I think if you wanted to describe, if you got somebody from another planet who did not understand what stupid meant, you just say, look at Theo Von. That's what we mean by stupid. Theo Von makes Forrest Gump look like Albert Einstein. He is I don't understand how this guy could have ever been a successful comedian without an ounce of intelligence. He is the stupidest fucking person in a room with Trump. In a room with Trump, he's the stupid guy.
Wow, I never heard of this guy. I know you're shocked, but
the interview is out there. It's only an hour. Like I said, I'm through like the first 25 minutes of it.
I saw just a little bit of it where Theo Von was trying to explain cocaine to Trump, and Trump was acting like he had no experience with it. He didn't know what it was, and this has been his thing. Just ask his son. Your son what it is. You don't need to go to Theo Von. But the fact that Theo Von now has put himself in this thing where he interviewed Bernie Sanders, he interviewed RFK Jr., and he's Trump. He wants to be seen as somebody who's an influencer in important things, but again, he should. I'd rather have the monkey at the zoo do an interview with an important person rather than Theo Von. He's just the stupidest fucking loser.
For me, I just don't find him particularly interesting.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do it for me. And
he was the kid on Brendan Schaub's, the boxer and the fighter and the kid thing, and he was the idiot thing. Brendan Schaub's monkey has become an intellectual influencer. It infuriates me. Like, why not? When are we just going to go all the way down to the stupidest fucking person who ever came out of a fucking cave and make them an important person somehow?
Well, we elected him president. He was number 45.
Yeah.
Again, no, that's not the stupidest person. I'm looking in a room, and he's not the stupidest person in that room.
Yeah, the Trump campaign has really been focusing on like younger men. That's kind of like what they're trying to go for to get voters, because he can't capture women. Young women aren't going to line up behind that old fossil. And I can't even believe young men would even line up behind that old fossil, considering they want to fucking cock block you and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like sex, Trump is the guy for you. But if you like fucking and sucking and drinking and everything else,
and occasionally having an abortion because of too much of their former. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And get yourself a house with a large staircase. That'll solve everything.
Just taking a nap,
Yeah, this story's a couple days old, but yeah, there was a story about Matthew Perry. Of course, people have been arrested in his case, but there are stories now coming out that he was found like passed out multiple times in his hot tub, and so
Yeah, but you capitalize nap here, and that just makes me feel like it was supposed to say my name, and then it just got cut short.
No.
Just taking a nap.
Yeah, so that he was found passed out multiple times, and I guess too in that hot tub. So, probably when the person found him that night, like, oh, he's floating today. That's not good. All right, moving on.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, speaking of remakes and reboots and retools or whatever.
Speaking of porn, somebody brought up porn. Let's talk about porn. I'm sorry. That was like a David Tell sequence there. Speaking of remakes, we weren't speaking of remakes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So coming to the Peacock network is a Friday the 13th prequel series. And the reason this made news is because the showrunner has been replaced with this guy here. I have his name in my notes, but I don't think it even fucking matters at this point.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no one gives a shit. So
I think that's his real hair.
I care.
That's his real hair.
I don't know. I think if you look close, there might be some plugs there.
I wore glue on for 3 months in my life. Remember the Cy Sperling, who was not only a member, he's the president of Hair Club for Men.
Right.
I had one of those on. What that was in the day was they took the crotch of a pantyhose and weaved hair onto it and then glued it onto your head. They literally crazy glued it onto your head, and you'd have to go back every 3 months for them to rip it off, clean it up, and reapply, color the hair, and reapply it and reglue it to your head. And so I did it once, and then when it came time to have, first of all, it was uncomfortable as hell. It was itchy as hell under there, and you can't scratch it. You can't scratch your head because they got this roadkill crazy glued to your head, and then they go back and they rip it off. It's like, okay, that's it. I'm done. You ripped it off. I'm not letting you glue it back on my head. We're done with this. But that's what that looks like. That looks like the thing that gets glued to your head.
So, yeah, this is another entertainment story. Michael Orr, you may remember. You may remember him. He was the subject of that movie, The Blind Side, about this family that kind of somewhat adopted him and helped make him a football star. But he's actually now suing that family because he's saying so much of that was fabricated. And he's saying it's not about the money, it's just about making it right, because he just feels that they took advantage of him and so on and so forth. So now he is suing them.
Now, I know the lawsuit specifically states the so on. I did not know that they were including the so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Wow.
That's heavy shit.
That
Is that a carrot?
That looks like a close-up of David Bowie dressed up as someone else.
David Bowie's dead.
So this is Alicia Silverstone. She was on her Instagram and she was in New England, and apparently she just she seen this bush with like these berries in someone's yard, so she reached through the fence and she started eating them, and she's on her Instagram asking people like, what are these? Are they
poisonous? They're poisonous berries.
Yeah, and that's what everyone told her. It's like, those are poisonous. Stop eating them.
Yeah, she was trending on Twitter. I didn't know why, but I learned that lesson as like a 5-year-old. You don't eat things that are growing on the neighbor's tree just because they look like fruit.
Yes. And there's also apps now. We live in a day and age where you can just download an app and you can take a picture of a leaf or berry, and it'll tell you exactly what it is, whether it's poisonous or not.
And then you could plug in like, where do I hire a Mexican to
yes, like I say, it's called your Green Pal.
Yeah. Where can I find a Mexican to harvest these?
Right. Poison Pal. Poisonpal.com.
Yeah, so the lesson here, kids, just don't eat shit out in the wild without knowing.
Yeah. What? This is why he went on Rogan to plug a book. I didn't get that far to know that he had a book out. Why he would be on Rogan. Okay, it all makes sense now.
That's Adam Sandler?
That's not Adam Sandler. This is Rob Schneider. He was at Adam Sandler's event for his stand-up special that's being released, and so Rob is out there saying he knows that he's doing things right because it's making people angry, because they asked him about people walking out in his shows in Canada and things like that, and he's like, they call protesters terrorists up there.
Let me just say here, the actual for a comedian to know that you're doing your job right, people are laughing. That's how you know you're doing your job right. If they're getting up and walking out, that is an indication that you have completely failed. You're not a agitator or political agitator. If that's your job, political agitator, and people are walking out on you, yes, that's verification that you're doing your job. But making people angry is not verification that a comedian is doing well. Just
Matt,
as a rule of thumb.
Somewhere? Is this written down somewhere? Because I don't remember ever hearing this about comedy.
Well, I'll write it down if that helps. I'll write it on toilet paper.
It'll help me next time I perform.
Yeah, and Rob Schneider is falling into that group where he's one of these old comics that are just out there complaining like, free speech. I want people with free speech. And you're right, Matt. It's like, no, you got to be funny. You're a comedian. Be fucking funny.
I can't tell you how much pushback I got on the Chappelle thing, because I said this about Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle. When he's being funny, I think he's got a gift for comedy, not just a skill, but he did learn it as a skill as well because he started very young. He was one of the best comedians on the planet, skill-wise, experience-wise, but I think he intentionally stopped trying to be funny or funny as much as if for an hour show. I think he intentionally wanted to be influential and get people thinking in terms of issues. Well, that's not a comedian's job. If you can do that as a side benefit, but a comedian's first job is to make people laugh. And how many people gave me pushback against that? No, comedian's job is to get people thinking about. No, comedy is right in the name there. Making people laugh is job number one. Anything besides that comes with it, that's a residual effect of it. But your first job is to make people laugh. And the entire time they're there, people don't come. They come for escapism. They don't come to be drawn back into what they're trying to escape from. They want to laugh at what they're trying to escape from.
Right. A comedian says funny things. A humorist says things funny. Plain and simple. Remember that rule, boys and girls.
Well, I think especially with Chappelle, when he was going through a lot of that shit. Like I think Chappelle's gripe is legitimate, especially when you're talking like about free speech and things like that. Like, hey, you're saying you don't want to be made fun of, but you can make fun of black people and like just let that go, but we can't make fun of you. So I'm definitely in Chappelle's camp where, like, if we're talking about comedy, it doesn't matter. If you want to be in the game, everyone deserves to be made fun of.
I totally agree with that point. And I think there is a place where he can make that case, and that's in interviews, and that if he wants to go on talk shows and stuff like that. But if you're charging people and paying tickets to make me laugh, don't come and only give me 2 laughs and make the rest of it about you being on a soapbox. That's
Yeah, and that's a valid point too, because I kind of felt like there was where it's like, all right, you got to let it go, man, or
Yeah.
like. So, but his last special that he did for Netflix, The Dreamer, I thought was very good because it reminded me a lot of old Chappelle, especially coming back to the place where he recorded his first special, Killing Them Softly. I liked The Dreamer a lot. It felt like he let it go and he was just fucking having fun, and you could tell.
Good. That's a good thing. I should watch that one because I haven't. But I think you do yourself, you paint yourself as this guy who is now Professor Chappelle rather than comedian Chappelle. You're going to lose people like me who now you can put out new specials all day long, and I'm just going to assume it's going to be more of this. Oh, what they're doing to me? They're coming to attack me. I got to just kind of.
Yeah, he even addresses it, but yeah, definitely check out The Dreamer. It's a strong hour.
I will do. I don't like Rob Schneider. I just want to say that before we let him go. I don't like Rob Schneider.
Oh, that's fine. I don't think a lot of people like Rob Schneider anymore.
Yeah.
So what this is because Matt Rife released his stand-up special last week. It's all crowd work. So in his first 6 days, he got 4.9 million views. And so
and we see how that measures up. Chappelle did 12 million on The Closer. Tom Segura, who is my new favorite guy, I love Tom Segura, did 4.5, which is close. So to Matt Rife, that's good for just crowd work.
Yeah.
Just crowd. Did you see any of it?
I can't believe I'm not on that list.
I have watched it. Me and my wife watched that special.
GT, you are on the list. You're just so far down.
That's what I would say, Ron. Could you expand the list to show where I am on here? Could you make it a little bit larger?
We don't have enough screen room. Nobody has enough screen room.
How about
I think at that point Excel maxes out online. So.
Couple of things that first of all, the Matt Rife thing. I've seen a couple of the clips. You know, the teaser clips that people put out and whatever reel shorts. It's all women. I know he was getting the MILF crowd, but now he's getting the GILF crowd. He's getting a lot of people, women my age and older, which is I just want to say for these women, he's not going to sleep with you. If you're 65 years old and there's dust coming out of your vagina now, don't hope you're going to get the young comedian guy. You're not going to get the young comedian. You're not going to get the young rock star. Give up. He's not going to fuck you.
So I watched this and probably like 2 years ago when that Australian comic Hannah Gadsby released that one special. And like people were getting on her like, oh, this is like, it's not stand up, it's like more of a TED talk. And I felt like this special by Matt Rife, it felt like a TED talk with humor attached to it.
Yeah.
Because he had like he had one theme for the entire show, which was about dreams. So that would at least give him something to come back to. But honestly, it felt like a TED talk. Like, hey, we're going to show up. We're going to talk about some stuff, and I'm going to like riff.
Death of comedy, right there. The TED Talk is the death of comedy. Amy Schumer, I'm surprised to see she's even on this. How long ago did she release this thing? Because it seemed to me like she might as well be talking about Joan Rivers. We're talking about Amy Schumer. Like
well, The stat here is this is the first 6 days top 10 Netflix comedy specials released on a Tuesday.
A Tuesday. Oh, so it could have been Tuesday, 1966. Yeah.
But yeah, Joe Coy is on that list. Country Wayne, Shane Gillis, Mike Epps. So that 85 South, which is like a showcase. I have not seen that.
Trevor Noah. That's a surprise. Wow. I've never even seen any of these things publicized. I haven't seen Trevor Noah's special publicized. I guess and I kind of pay attention. I'm in the loop with this stuff. I'm on all the comedy newsletters and stuff like that. What's coming out. I didn't see that publicized. Shane Gillis is the one I've seen, and obviously Matt Rife, and obviously Chappelle I've seen. But Mike Epps, I don't remember seeing that one publicized. Amy Schumer, I'm just surprised to even see she's on the list. So
yeah,
okay,
she's still hanging around.
I haven't seen any of them.
Then our final picture, that we were talking about this earlier in the week with bears and otters and whales. So I figure I would get a whale picture and whales having sex for everybody.
So that's a sperm whale or a worm. I mean, not sperm whale, a worm, a sperm whale, or a blue whale or a white whale giving sperm to a shark. It looks like.
Yeah. So that's showbiz, everybody.
Whale shark.
Enjoy your Thursday. So open your throat and accept it.
With an open throat. I'm hearing the phrase open throat used a lot these days. Open throated. All right. Well, thank you for that. Where's the round of applause? Where's the round of applause for showbiz, folks? Thank you. Let's talk. Oh, that's yeah. You guys, as we've discussed on this program, have predicted RFQ pulling out and shooting his support for Trump all over. I don't know. It's going to happen. It's going to happen by the end of the week. He told the staff to hold tight, sit tight, which sounds like sit tight and stand back. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the idiots that were following him, making countering the Harris Walz momentum a little bit and making those polls even out. I've been on a high for about a month, thinking, all right, things are looking brighter for America, and this is probably part why I woke up. Are you welcoming this RFQ dropout? Because I would like them to stay in.
I'm neither welcoming it or not welcoming it. To me, it was just a thing that was going to happen. I never thought he was going to go through with it, so I would prefer.
Do you think it matters? Do you him dropping out, because he did have some support, visible support, and you think it matters in the end of the election? Do you think he will help push Fatso over the finish line?
It depends on why people went to him in the first place. If they went to him because of like environmental issues and stuff like that, because let's put it, the people that are clinging to the Robert Kennedy of the past, America's lawyer, the environmentalist guy, if they're holding on to that guy is gone. And so those issues are only going to be addressed by the Harris campaign, because Trump doesn't give a shit about the environment. Now, if it's a matter, if these are conspiracy nuts, they're going to probably go to Trump or stay home, because they're going to realize that Kennedy's whole thing was a conspiracy. And, so it's hard.
I think none of them. No, I don't. This is from what I see, because I don't know how I see, but I get flooded with RFK support. Now, they've been quiet this week, of course, but I don't think there's any of them who are on there for typical, even centrist or slightly leaning left causes. I think almost everybody who got on his train there was anti-vax first, and then other conspiratory anti-government
So I think a lot of them are Trump people. They would have been Trumpers, except that the vax was developed by Trump, and they're at least intelligent enough to know that it was Trump's vaccine in the first place. So
but there are left-leaning people. There are left-leaning people who are anti-vaxxers and right-leaning people that are anti-vaxxers. Just because they're anti-vaxxer doesn't make you more right or more left, because they're two different camps of anti-vaxxers. So
I did not know this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I believe it, but
I personally think this is like this is desperation. Like that Trump campaign is trying to do anything they can because they've been like on their heels the entire time since everything got flipped on them, and you can see the desperation in Trump, and he's trying to do these interviews where he's trying to be calm and soft spoken.
I don't know if he's trying or he's just tired, just weak.
Well, yeah, it could be that, but I think it's really a press to like, we're going to try and make it seem like you're a normal person. But the problem is there's so much, there's so much out there, the type of person that he is. So it just to me, it just rings kind of hollow.
Yeah. Lastly, I want to ask you guys about this because in normal times, we'd be witnessing what I say is a crime in broad daylight, and that crime is bribery. He's offering a candidate a high-level cabinet position if you drop out and support me. That is bribery. That's the flat-out bribery. Nobody's calling that, and nobody's going to make a big deal of it. But I think that's a legitimate issue. And why isn't that even something that people are willing to call out and say?
Well, according to Injustice Kavanaugh in the Supreme Court, if Trump gave him the money first, it's bribery. But if Trump is just saying, drop out and I'll pay your whatever money you owe, not Trump, but his campaign will pay whatever money you owe, and he does it after the fact, it's a tip. And that's not illegal. So bribery, if he gives the money after the fact, it's not bribery.
Well, you talk about the bribery, but I mean, I think what the New York Times or somebody, they're already saying that they won't accept the election results.
Yeah.
And so, like, why is that even? Then why are you even running then? If you can't accept the win or loss?
Well, no, they will accept it if he wins.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Is like if you can't play the game and you're going to whine because it doesn't have your outcome, why are you even allowed to play the game?
He's not expecting that. He's not expecting those rules to apply to him. He's expecting things to be able to go to a court and have the court decide. He's looking for like a replay of the 2000 election when the Supreme Court says, "Okay, we elect George W. Bush president."
You think it has a better chance of succeeding this time? Because he has 70 electors in key states.
He has 70 electors in key states, but also the way the rules are written in those, it depends, because local elections are local. So it's not going to be the same result in some of them. Like, for example, you can have like one state where the official in that precinct says, I'm not going to certify this election, but there can be people over top of them and say, no, you have to. Your job is just ceremonial, so it could just delay it, but not change it. That's one thing. The other thing is also going to depend on the size of the victory in those precincts.
So basically, if I'm ever contemplating suicide, the last person you want to get to talk me off the ledge is G.D. Fenderson, because he's just going to give me. No, I would have jumped by now.
Well, but you'd be off the ledge, and that's the point.
Right.
Now, GD would say, "Here's a coat. You look cold in case while you're out here waiting to jump."
Right, and then he wouldn't even bother cleaning up the mess that I am on the ground. He would be like, "Oh no, this is somebody else's job. It's not mine."
No, I would
get a Mexican to steal my job. That's what he would say.
I would have Robert Kennedy move your body to the woods and put a bike next to it.
All right. I'm full of delicious brainworms. That's all I can say.
All right. So this is the last show of the 600s, by the way. Tomorrow's show number 700 for the morning show.
Ooh,
Does that mean anything to anybody? No, it doesn't.
It's 700.
Normally, I would be a little bit apprehensive about even. I am even still. Tomorrow we have one guest on. We were supposed to have two. I canceled one. No. So that's growth. I said, no, you're not funny.
So that's because you have the rule that says only one landscaper a week. I understand that rule. So that's why only one landscaper a week.
Well, maybe not. Tomorrow we have a franchise guy on. It's all about franchising. Again, I don't know how this guy got on. He's going to tell me he had one of his assistants write me a letter, and I can't find that letter.
I have to find my commercial for G.D. Fenderson's I franchise my comedy so that people could actually be me and do my comedy.
And what is this franchise?
I don't know. He's a franchise broker. And I've had franchise. This is from the business edition. I had people that do that. They basically will find you a Burger King or a fucking Pizza Hut, or franchise brokers. This is an actual thing. How this guy got booked on, I don't know. But based on today's conversation with the landscaper, Brian Clayton, I think it might be a good. I'm leaving my mind open that it could be an enjoyable conversation. That's all I'm saying. It could be terrible.
Going to change it from the mind dog to the mind open.
Yeah. Next week we're moving up. We got comedians from New Mexico, who's a Taos comedy, where Ron Kane went in and burned the town down before he left and flooded it, and then. But he's a comedy winner. Chad Ridden will be on next week. And then my friend Dina Russo will be on. She's got a new single out after many years. I used to work with her exclusively. She used to do demos for me when I wrote songs. Great singer. Glad she's back in the game. We got some comedians on next week. We got some musicians on next week. I feel like we're turning back to what this program is supposed to be about. So. Meet us tomorrow. Meet us here tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. Got through today, and I'm glad we did. Any final thoughts, GD? You want to ask me what color I would be if I was in a rainbow? What color would I be and why? Or some dope question.
Well,
like
I was just thinking that. Well, my final question.
Oh, that was a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that before, and this is why. Basically, it's time to go. Great question. Great question means nobody in the audience gives a fuck about that. And this is why we tell you we'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget to turn on your radio. Bye for now.
His hands were soft and supple.
me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen.